we interrupt our regular evening schedule to bring you the following special program. September 16th, 2259. And the Interstellar Network News presents 36 Hours on Babylon 5 with your host, Cynthia Talkman.
Hi, I'm Rachel.
And I'm Matt.
And this is
We Are All Kosh,
a Babylon 5 podcast. I think Cookie wants out. Cookie's pretty sure happiness is on the other side of the podcast door. No, Cookie, that's not... Okay. All right. Kittens are little chaos demons. Adorable little chaos demons.
Very adorable.
For those who do not follow us on Instagram, we got a new kitten. And his name is Cookie. Because the kids named him Cookie. And he's adorable. But he is a fucking menace. An adorable menace. Just ask Smokey. Should tell you all about it. He's sticking his paw under the door now.
That's okay.
Yeah,
He's
can do that.
fun.
It's fine. All right. We're going to talk about Babylon 5, Season 2, Episode 15.
Or 14.
Or 14, depending on where you're watching it. And now for a word. As in, and now for a word from our sponsors, which, I don't know, maybe that's like a thing we don't have anymore. It was a thing during television shows where usually a live show like news broadcast or something, if they were getting ready to go into a commercial break, you would say,
they
and
would
now for a
acknowledge
word
it.
for our sponsors. Sometimes you would get a little splash screen in an actual television show that would be like, and now for a word from our sponsors. But it was like a cue that we were getting ready to watch a commercial.
Yeah.
Which we don't really do anymore, so.
Well, I think the advertisements stopped being sponsored directly to shows, and they were more sponsored to the network. And then the network just said every show needs to leave a gap. And so in the show, they didn't know who the advertisement was going to be for.
Yeah. You would get it in radio programs too. They'd stop and be like, and now for a word from our sponsors, because often the radio hosts would then read the commercial. And that way you knew that this was distinct from the actual program. It happens
pretty often in podcasts now.
Yeah.
Where
you get like an outro sound or
now
whatever.
I have an ad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess that's a relic of the radio program era.
Yeah.
Is the podcast when we all used to just listen to the radio. I personally I had such a repressed youth. I think about it now and I'm like, oh my God. But one of the things I was allowed to listen to because it wouldn't have been music was the Bickersons, which is a Don Amici and Francis Langford in the Bickersons. And then it would have like, anyway, it was a radio drama from I think the 40s and 50s. Mm-hmm. And I'm really fortunate that I'm not more patriarchal than I am, because it was a comedy about the guy that goes to work and makes a bunch of money while his wife is at home spending all of his money.
The stereotype.
And it was really funny. There's some lines that I say from it that, I mean, my get up and go, got up and went. There's a couple. Mm-hmm. It's fine. It just kind of is what it's in its context. But in case you didn't know, commercial breaks used to be predictable. You can see them sometimes in shows. You could see they were like reaching a point where we were going to get to a break because you usually left on a cliffhanger so that you would come back after the commercial. Because sometimes the commercial breaks were long.
Right.
And you'd forget what you were
watching. It usually fades
watching.
out and then fades back in.
Right. So this had a P5 rating of 8.43. Way high.
Yeah.
Way high. I think because it's different.
It's novel.
It is very novel. This, I always think about this episode, like I remember it exists, and then when I watch it, I'm like, wow, I forgot how much they committed to the bit.
Right.
That this is a news broadcast. This isn't an episode. This is a cut together news broadcast from ISN News.
Right.
For 36 hours on Babylon 5. It was originally aired May 3rd, 1995. And was written by JMS and directed by Mario DeLeo. I think he's done it at least once or twice because every time I'm like, Dilio?
I know you've pronounced it
That's
about 10 different ways.
I'm just doing my best over here. The subliminal phrase that flashes across the screen during the commercial for the Psy-Core reads, "The Psy-Core is your friend. Trust the core." And apparently it appears for 1/6 of a second, which is double the FCC's definition of a subliminal message. So they wanted you to see the bloop. They wanted you to see it.
They wanted you to see it.
But not see it.
But also interpret it as a subliminal message.
Yeah, they wanted you to go, what was that? And have to go back and figure it out. Mira Furlan said this was one of her favorite episodes because one of the main reasons she felt compelled to leave Yugoslavia was because of the constant harassment in the press over her refusal to take sides during the breakup of Yugoslavia and the Yugoslav wars.
Oh.
And I was like, I have learned a thing about Mira Furlan. This was not my favorite Delenn episode, and we will get into why when we get there. But I'm glad she enjoyed this episode. It probably reminded her of, like, people don't change. Reporters don't change. Especially when they work for the administration, which this one clearly does.
Yeah.
Interplanetary Expeditions, which is one of the sponsors. They have a little commercial during one of the commercial breaks of the news broadcast.
Mm-hmm.
It was shown to be one of the segment sponsors. It's previously been mentioned in season 1's Infection. That's who Dr. Franklin's buddy is working for when he went to that dead world and stole all the organic technology.
Okay.
And if you remember at the time, Dr. Franklin said he was unable to find any information on them.
Mm-hmm.
So they must have been working to build up a public image. Tech One finally gets a name and rank. This is when we finally know who Tech One is because he gets a name card at the bottom when they're interviewing him.
Yes.
All right. The ISN crew arrives on the ship Heyerdahl.
Okay.
In 1947, the Norwegian adventurer Thor Heyerdahl, which is a fucking name, by the way, traveled 8,000 miles across the Pacific Ocean in a primitive handmade boat. He later crossed the Pacific Ocean. He later crossed the Atlantic in an Egyptian-style papyrus reed boat.
Wow.
So apparently he was one of those guys that was like, hold my beer. Check out this shit. In 1947, so he didn't have a cell phone. He didn't have a GPS. He was just like, well, I have carved this tree into a boat. I shall see you all in several months.
Pretty much.
I mean, I wonder if he even had radio equipment. It kind of reminds me of, remember that guy that tried to recreate Shackelford's voyage or journey?
Oh, and he reproduced it a lot more accurately than he was.
Yeah, one guy got trench foot. Like, they were all sick. They had all the ailments that they had originally because they had like a trailing boat that was following them and doing medical checkups.
Yeah.
And they had to pull a couple of guys because they were like, you're not going to make it, bro.
Yep.
And then after they landed, they still had to fucking hike. And I don't think they actually let them hike. I think they were like, you are all going to die if you hike. So they didn't let them do it. Just thinking about what people have achieved. And now my kids get upset if I make them help me cook dinner. You're like, do you know what Thor Heyerdahl is? That's what I'm going to bring up every time. Be like, there was a man who crossed the Pacific Ocean in a boat he made himself. Like, not like a boat, but like some sort of, it just says primitive handmade boat. I'm sure you could probably look him up.
Yeah.
I would like, that'd be fun to do a deep dive on Thor Heyerdahl. This takes place from September 16th to September 17th, 2259. Kim Zimmer, who plays Cynthia Torkman, the lady, the newscaster, the interviewer, the one that we always see on the TV during this episode, is from Grand Rapids. Michigan.
We're not super far from Grand Rapids.
No, it's exciting. Anytime somebody's from Michigan, you're like, Michigan,
Hey.
really? Hey! She was in 191 episodes of a show called The Doctors, which ran from 1979 to 1982.
191 episodes in 3 years?
Yes. She was in 124 episodes of a show called Santa Barbara, which ran from 92 to 93. These must be soap operas.
Yeah.
Daytime shows, yeah.
Yeah,
She
they have
was
60
in-
episodes a year.
She was in, are you ready? 1,954 episodes of Guiding Light.
Wow.
Yeah. She was in 106 episodes of One Life to Live. So she is a prolific soap opera actress.
Yeah.
And then she's in this episode of Babylon 5. Was she just like, I mean, I'd like to do something different, I think. Like, maybe I'm tired of being the catty bitch on Guiding Light, and I'd love to. I don't know. I don't watch soap operas. I assume every character on a soap opera, male or female, is a catty bitch because the only time I engage at all with soap operas is my aunt, who has been religiously watching General Hospital since like probably the 60s.
Yeah.
She does not miss it. She watches it religiously. It used to be hard because she had to record it on tape when she was at work. And now she can watch them on Hulu. And I think she only has Hulu for
Soap operas?
General Hospital.
General Hospital.
Because they
specifically.
don't rerun. They do one
Right.
episode a day. And if you miss it, you fucking missed it. They don't release compilations, or they didn't at the time. Christopher Curry, who plays Senator Ronald Quantrell, he played in a movie called Chud, which is a movie I really want to watch. And every time it pops up, I'm like, oh, I think that'd be really fun to watch it. It's like something Human Underground Dwellers, but it's C.H.U.D. Like it's a abbreviation. And it's one of those, I keep thinking of it as like Chad, like it's a douchebag underground dwellers. And I don't think that's what it is, or maybe it is what it is. So I would like to watch it at some point. He was in a TV movie called The Boys from 1991.
Not
He was
based
in-
on the graphic novel.
Not based on it. He was in Starship Troopers.
Okay.
He was in Home Alone 3. He's like the military general that ends up coming to the kids' rescue in Home Alone 3. And I only know this because our son is fucking obsessed with Home Alone 3. Home Alone 1, forget it. He doesn't like it. Home Alone 2, forget it. He doesn't like it. Like, you forget how slow Home Alone 2 is.
Mm-hmm.
And Home Alone 1 is fine, but like the concept, something about it he finds terrifying. I think the bad guys are far more aggressive in Home Alone 1.
Yeah.
And then Home Alone 3, the kid has he has chicken pox, which my son is like, what is that? And I'm like, it's a thing we all used to have. And he really likes Home Alone 3. So I've seen that a lot. I recognize him from that. He's also in Bulworth, which is a movie I feel like we could probably revisit as a culture.
Mm-hmm.
That's about that politician who hires someone to kill him. And then because he knows he's going to die, he goes completely off the rails and just starts telling the truth instead of trying to maintain his public image. And I want to rewatch. I remember watching it in high school because my boyfriend at the time was super into politics. And
Yeah.
so we watched The West Wing and Bulworth and a bunch of other ones. And I remember really enjoying it, and I would love to go back and revisit it.
Okay.
Granville Ames plays the Psycop from the Psycop commercial. He was in an episode of Unsolved Mysteries, The Murders of Tupac and the Notorious B.I.G., which I did not know was an Unsolved Mysteries episode.
I did not either.
He was also in Star Trek Generations as the transporter tech.
Aww.
And I put that down because I thought another guy later was in Star Trek, but it turns out he was just in Star Trek, like The Next Generation, not Generations. John Christian Gross is the kid Johnny. He played a kid. He was like the kid on TV for a brief period of time.
Mm-hmm.
So he was in Dr. Quinn Medicine Woman. He was in Kindergarten Cop as Kevin. I haven't watched Kindergarten Cop in a really long time either.
Yeah, that's been a while.
That's Arnold Schwarzenegger's like, I'm going to change up my image and be, he was in Twins. He was in Kindergarten Cop. Then he was in 9 Months where he got pregnant. Remember that one?
Yes.
And
Yep.
they're just like, if we just insert this embryo in like an empty space in your body, that's going to be sufficient. Like,
I think there was something else that went along with it to prepare him for it.
maybe. I just remember he's pregnant, and
Yeah.
I remember it being funny. It's probably not funny, which is why I can't revisit it. But I remember it being funny. Leslie Wing is the lady who plays Johnny's mother, and she played in an episode of Xena Warrior Princess, and she played in The Frighteners as Miss Waterhouse. And those were all of the additional people that I took note of. I think there were quite a few more, just like there's a bunch of people in the background, but not everybody gets credited. So JMS did say that he kind of intended this as if you are a new viewer or if you have people that you want to view it and you've been waiting to give them a chance to jump in, this is a moment to jump in. He intended this as a way for like hooking new viewers. And he said it was so different, he wasn't actually sure if they were going to let him make it. Because he's like, I don't think anyone's ever done this before.
Right.
I can't think of another before this.
A mid-season.
Where you totally change the perspective. Instead of it being like basically third person limited where we're following specific characters throughout the day, it's like one step removed even farther where it's like, I am a third party observer observing these characters that normally we see as like the cameraman. Right. And so
Candidly.
I thought that was, I mean, I really like it. I really like this episode.
It was interesting seeing everybody, seeing all the characters from the perspective where they know they're being observed by a critical audience.
Yeah. Right. Because it changes their behavior.
Yeah.
He said he was trying to play with the idea of less I and more you. So like less of personal story and more someone observing the story. And he said he intended it to be a very subversive and tricky episode, and he suggests you tape it. So you can go back and reference it later.
So would he have announced that on the forum before the episode came out? That, hey, everybody.
I think sometimes the forum goes for, like, takes up anything that referenced this episode, because he said at the beginning of that paragraph that he had just submitted an episode to be reviewed.
Oh, okay.
So it would be before it had been filmed. So I think sometimes it's less just word for word whatever was on the forum and more anything on the forum that referenced that episode.
Okay. I had one friend in high school who they and their dad watched this religiously, and their dad recorded all the episodes. And I think at one point he invited me over to watch it, but I don't know why I didn't. I didn't know what Babylon 5 was at the time. So
he did say also, your analysis of Delenn is dead on. He doesn't say what the analysis was. He says, I don't quite think she really understood what was required of her and what would happen. I think she believed it would go somewhat other than it has, which has given her pause. So she's rattled, alone, and realizing...
You didn't even knock?
She's rattled, alone, and realizing the magnitude of what is before her and her choice to undergo the chrysalis, and that is exactly the core of a huge Delenn episode in the last part of the season. So a revelation or a resolution to this instability in Delenn is coming, for which I'm thankful, because I'm getting real tired of it.
Yeah.
And somebody asked why they couldn't hear the battle outside, and he's like, space. New Vegas is on Mars, because they do reference like New Vegas put odds on the survival of the station.
Okay.
Oh no, Cookie's trying to do some sound engineering. Hopefully he doesn't turn on any of the voice modulation.
We turned all of them
stuff.
on, and oh, I'm loud. Oh, we hit my headphone thing, maybe?
Oh
no. Oh, we did it.
Aw. Don't sleep on it, Cookie. Okay, Cookie has vacated the... Oh, I think he turned me down.
I might have turned your headphone thing down on accident.
It's fine. Cookie has vacated the soundboard, so we can go back to business. He did mention that the idea of using the security cams for FX shots was an idea from the forum. And so that's why they used it. He said Jaquamazad, which is Jakar's what Jakar mentions the town, Jaquamazad.
Okay.
And he said Jaquan's primary follower / co-prophet was Jalan. Remember that name. And if you remember earlier, Natas says that her father was not a follower of Jaquan. He was a follower of Jalan.
Okay.
So that's not the first time that's been mentioned. Oh, he also said that's probably the first time Delenn has encountered any Earth media / reporters. And she's never been in this situation before where she's been challenged on screen. And it would be the height of disrespect back at home.
Right. Which is why she's offended.
Oh, which she should be. I mean, that's a very pointed,
Rude.
I mean, it's a question that you send somebody ahead of time to prepare them for.
Yeah.
So they have a chance to actually ask you or to actually answer it instead of just, hey, on the spot, what can you come up with? Oh, he said Interplanetary Expeditions was the bogus company from Infection. Is that more than a throwaway here? Yeah, I'd say it's fair to say that you haven't heard the last of Interplanetary Expeditions. Remember the rule. Before you use the gun, you show it on the mantle. He said you play fair and create the context in which the payoff later works. Yeah, Chekhov's gun. He said that Zahadum, which is coming, it's one of the episodes that's coming up. Only a few people had seen it and they kind of like it, but this one is the one that everybody was like, yeah, that's really good. That's a good episode. He said he intended it as kind of a commentary on the current allegations of bias. Since the media is now supposedly anti-government, parentheses, nonsense, which would be, this is a thing that's happening in the 90s. Yeah. And the newscast in word was more than just a bit spoon-fed government propaganda. So, like, he's trying to make a commentary about media bias.
Yeah.
I guess. It probably hit a lot better back in the 90s when people were like, oh, they're real biased. And you could be like, no, I don't think so. As opposed to now. And I'm not going to say anything about that. I think we all know what I'm talking about. So we actually start this episode by zooming in on this. He said that this was one of the first times, or I guess in the forum or in the zeitgeist, it's saying that this is one of the first times that we see at all on television a completely CGI newsroom, implying that Cynthia Torkman is not actually sitting in a studio that looks like this, that this is intended to be CGI.
It's intended to look artificial.
Both for the view, like the contemporary viewer in 2259 and for us, almost like now where you sometimes see newscasters placed in like a CGI environment.
Yeah.
That this was what this was supposed to be. I couldn't tell you at the time if it would have read that way. It kind of feels like she's supposed to be in some crazy, weird platform thing in the middle of nowhere. I don't know. Well, I guess what I'm saying is it's not to me obvious whether it only looks like CGI because it actually is CGI or if it's intended to also be CGI. Like ISN is using.
Contemporarily.
Yeah. Like ISN is using a computer
virtual
to
backgrounds.
Put Cynthia. Like,
yeah.
Anyway. Either way, that's how we start. And she's like, we interrupt our regular evening schedule to bring you the following program. And I'm not going to go word for word through a lot of this because this was an incredibly dialogue-heavy episode. This is all told through exposition. We have a couple of action shots, but for the most part, it is like after and before interviews of events that are happening, which is, this had to have been so, you know what kind of reminds me of? World War Z. Where it's told as a series of interviews. Yeah. And so you can get not just the events, but you can also get the way someone felt about the events, which is a way different way of experiencing perspective. Them. Yeah. Which is such a different way of experiencing it. And it gives you as the viewer an idea of how each of these characters feels about what's happening.
Yeah.
Which you don't necessarily get unless we get like a cutaway moment where they're talking to somebody and they happen to mention their feelings. This is a very deliberate, we sat down and talked to people and said, how did you feel about that?
Yeah.
How do you feel about this situation? How do you feel about what's happening? And we actually got Londo's perspective and Jakar's perspective. And I wish we could have gotten Delenn's perspective, but instead they pulled a full ambush, a media ambush on Delenn. But we'll get there. But she said September 16th, 2259, and the Interstellar Network News presents 36 Hours on Babylon 5 with your host, Cynthia Torkman. Reporting live from the ISN News Center in Geneva, which makes me wonder if she's supposed to be actually live in this room as opposed to live in front of a green screen where they're filling in the background as she's talking. But they do say that it's been about 100 years since we've gone to the stars. So we've got 120-ish years to get our shit figured out so we can travel to space. Although we did go to space and immediately as Centauri were like, hey, sup? You want to buy our shit?
And then the Narns were like, hey, what's up?
Do you think the Centauri have like mobile malls? And that as soon as they meet a new race that they're like, it's not worth our effort to take over their planet. They've kind of already stripped it of resources all on their own. So why don't we manipulate the only resource still available, which is their capital, like their ability to be monetized.
Yes.
And so then they just roll up with like, hello. And then they have little Centauri dolls like, hi, I met a Centauri or whatever. It makes me wonder because otherwise, what were they doing over by Earth? Like, how did we encounter them? I don't know that we ever get the story of like when we met the Centauri because I want to know how that went down. Because these people show up that look like Napoleon and you're like, are you French? Why are you out here? And they just start handing you stuff. And then they're like, okay, now you pay me for it. How much are you going to pay me for it?
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, they said in 100 years since we've gone to the stars, we've established outposts and colonies on over 24 worlds, 14 solar systems. Out of all these far-flung outposts, only the Mars colony, plagued by scattered groups of separatists, is worse than Babylon 5.
So Babylon 5 is almost as controversial as the Mars colony. And Mars colony is like a big fucking deal.
They had an actual outright violent battle.
Yeah.
Recently. Where
Multiple.
Where Free Mars tried to take over the planet. And they're like, you know what's kind of like that, but just slightly better? Babylon 5. What has Babylon 5 ever done to you?
Right?
What is happening on all the other colonies?
Except had negative spin from the biased media.
Well, I guess there have been a couple of times where giant ships show up and they're like, we're going to shoot Babylon 5. It is a greater than 3 number of times because I think the Trogati have threatened to destroy Babylon 5. The Vorlon have threatened to destroy Babylon 5.
Yeah.
There was the time the planet below it threatened to destroy Babylon 5. All right, fine, I'm getting it. Never mind, I take it back.
But they weren't trying to overthrow Earth Force or Earth Alliance.
Oh, no, they weren't trying to kick anybody out, but it is how often do the other outposts ever get this kind of threats? Like is the transfer point on Io ever getting threatened by the Vorlons? I don't think so. So, like, I get it. This is a very volatile station, but not as volatile as Mars. And Mars is kind of our fault. Like, apparently we didn't do a good job of creating a balance between Mars independence and Earth oversight. And so that's a thing that's happening. But then Babylon 5, it's like we have our fingers in so many pies that sometimes those pies try to kill us. And that's basically Babylon 5.
Yeah.
But they said it's designated neutral territory. So we must have all agreed at some point that this was neutral territory.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing here that anybody wants except for the giant planet-sized computer that's just below the station and would definitely push anybody's technological development thousands of years into the future just by being able to access it. But besides that, there's nothing here that's worth anything, so I guess we can just park the space station here. And they said Babylon 5 has defied the odds and continued to operate as a free port, a center for diplomacy, and a showpiece for the Earth Alliance Resource and Technologies Division. They had to build it 5 times, but hey, it's still, we got better every time. That's what matters. Apparently, it's been open for 3 years. And recent polls indicate a growing dissatisfaction, which we had to rewind it twice because Matt was like, but the dissatisfaction goes from like 30% to 40%. So it's not the majority of people who are dissatisfied about it.
It's growing.
But it's growing. That was the point. It's not that it's the majority of people don't think it's worth our time. It's that a growing number of people, which is what happens when you have xenophobic
rhetoric,
Earth first rhetoric as your Earth government.
Yeah. Make Earth great again.
Make Earth great again. Exactly. And then you don't want to go out and, I don't know, fund U.S. aid anymore, right? You don't want to go out and do Babylon 5 stuff because that's alien stuff, even though ultimately it affects Earth because the Earth is part of the larger community of the galaxy.
Right. Why do you want to make this place better? Because I live here.
Because I live here. We don't live in the whole universe.
I want to make the planet better and healthier because I live on the planet.
But what if we make it better for no reason? What if we give ourselves a nice place to live for no reason?
Totally not worth it.
Totally not worth it. So tonight we're going to take you to the center of the controversy, which kind of feels manufactured considering, the majority of people approve of its mission, but it's fine. An ISN crew and I spent 36 hours aboard Babylon 5 asking hard questions and on occasion getting in a little over our heads. And she says, in the process of putting this report together, it didn't take us long to learn the most important rule of survival aboard Babylon 5. Expect the unexpected, which is true. I love when it's self-referential. Like, Sheridan has literally been there at this point, 9 months? Because he came New Year's and now it's September. And look at all the shit that has happened to him in
just
that
9
timeline.
months.
Yeah. Less than a year has passed. And the Centauri Emperor died. Delenn stole a fucking body. Oh, wait, maybe that was under...
That was under Sinclair.
Yeah.
But he got abducted by
he got abducted
aliens.
by aliens, tortured. A lot of shit has happened, and not a lot of time has passed, is what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
And then we cut to them outside the station. And this is when they are on the Earth transport Heyerdahl. And as they're getting ready to dock, they're like, these are the voices of the ship's captain and B5 command and control. And it's Ivanova.
Yeah.
And they're trying to get the Heyerdahl docked, but a Narn transport
and a Centauri ship
get into it.
Yeah.
And the Narn transport ends up blowing up the Centauri vessel. A terrible explosion, a conspiracy involving several of these individuals. And then it says lies and deception, and it shows Londo and the deaths of hundreds of people. All this and more in 36 hours aboard Babylon 5 here on Interstellar Network News. And this is when they actually take a break. They go, we'll be back with our story right after this break. And it has an ad break for the 36 hours sponsored by Interplanetary Expeditions, exploring the past to create a better future. We only kind of killed people like that one time. It's totally fine.
Don't worry about it.
What's really funny is if we had been watching this on TV, like you sat down, it's Monday night whenever these aired, it's 7 o'clock, you got your drink, you got your popcorn, whatever, you sat down, it broke for commercial right here. So this would have gone immediately into your regular commercials.
Yeah.
So you would have had the Interstellar Network or the Interplanetary Expeditions commercial and then like a commercial
regular
for
commercials.
Dentine or something. Like it would have immediately gone into your regular commercials and then come back. So it literally would have flowed like a news broadcast.
Yeah.
Which I think it's good as is, but I wish I could have experienced it that way because it would have felt so seamlessly integrated, these random commercials. Saturday Night Live used to do that. Remember, they'd create fake commercials and they would air them during the commercial break?
Yeah.
The only one I remember is when we started having razors that had more than one blade. And then they had 2 blades and then they had 3 blades. And then Saturday Night Live did one where they had 17 blades. And they were like, the first one takes off your hair. The next one gets the root. And then by the end of it, the guy's just a skeleton because it takes...
And shaving down the bone.
And it did the same... like where it showed the
progressive cutaway.
Progressive cutaway of what the razor was shaving away from your face, and it went all. It's like the cleanest shave you've ever had, but it's literally just
A skull.
A skull. Yeah. Anyway, and then we cut to the intro. So we go to the commercial, and then when we come back, it's the intro for Babylon 5, which I kind of wish they could have done an Interstellar Network intro, like what you would get for like True Hollywood Story.
Replace the standard intro.
Yeah.
That would have been cool.
Yes. Instead of having the Babylon 5 intro, have the like Cynthia Torkman and then show all of the. Yeah. That would have been funny. I don't think they could have, because this was kind of your like ramp up. This was your, you know what you're watching thing, but still, it would have been funny. And then we come back and it's 30 minutes later. After the Narn vessel opened fire on the Centauri, the bodies of the dead and wounded are being brought here for transfer to various med lab facilities on Babylon 5. And they're like, you know what the best possible thing to do is right now? Interview people while they're clearly trying to triage what's happening.
Yes. We're going to interfere with the medical staff trying to save people's lives.
Correct. The highlight of this entire episode is every time she talks to Dr. Franklin.
Yeah.
We got laughing so hard during his interview. It is so melodramatic. It is like, it's perfection.
The one where it's just like a 90-second monologue.
Of him. Just like,
of
and
him.
It's him shooting the shit. Like, this isn't theoretically, this isn't scripted. This is him just being like, you know what? Let me tell you a story. You got a minute? Because sit down. I'm going to channel my noir Garibaldi buddy. Yeah. And I'm going to be Stevie Frankie. His noir buddy, and I'm going to tell you a story about a guy that got spaced in front of me with the most graphic imagery. But Dr. Franklin is just like triaging people and pushing them through. Like, okay, this guy needs immediate surgery and a full CAT scan. Keep him at 30% or he's going to choke on his own blood, like 30% angle or whatever. I need more regen packs. And Cynthia Torkman is like, hey, Dr. Franklin, Cynthia Torkman, what happened? And he's like, I don't know, a fucking ambush. Can you explain the reason? He's like, no. Fucking no. And just leaves. And then she spots Captain Sheridan. And she's like, do you have a comment about what happened? And he's like, no, not right now. No. What about the Narn vessel that attacked the transport? And he's like, well, we sent out a fighter wing to get them, but I can't tell you anything till we have them in custody. Like, get the fuck out of here. This is not.
Yeah. Excuse me. Well, you're in the way.
Me. And so she's like, you know what the best possible thing to do right now is? Go to talk to Londo. So she goes to talk to Londo. And he's like, this is exactly the kind of behavior that endangers the very purpose of Babylon 5. This place is dedicated to finding peaceful solutions to our problems. For the Narn to carry their vendetta against our people. Their vendetta? Like, this is Conley? Like, they've sworn revenge against you guys for no fucking reason?
Like, Londo didn't say, oh, yeah, we're just going to take out this Narn outpost.
Yeah, like Londo on a whim didn't just go, oh, don't we have that outpost that's, like, right by our space? The one that has, like, a bunch of Narn? Can we go ahead and get rid of that?
Yeah, we're going to hold 250,000 Narn captive, hostage.
Yeah.
After we take out their outpost. And, yeah.
But
it's the Narn's fault.
Right.
They started
They're carrying their vendetta against our people. They're totally unjustifiable aggression into neutral territory like this. You know, it's reckless and irresponsible. And like, I'm really sad about our losses, but we have felt strongly about our friends from Earth ever since we first encountered you guys 100 years ago. We've been so good friends. I mean, to endanger your people for no reason. Oh, he is laying it on so thick. He's like, I'm on your side. I am your friend. I'm Londo, your friendly neighborhood Centauri buddy. I'm here for you. It's the Narn who are being big and bad. Can't you tell? Because I look the most like Earth people.
Yep.
And they look the least like Earth people. So, I mean, who's the real villain here? Not me. Then we go to Jakar, and Jakar's like, oh, he's fucking lying. He's lying through his teeth.
He's lying.
Then can you tell us why your ship opened fire on the Centauri transport?
I'll issue a statement after I've consulted with my government.
Are you saying your government sanctioned this attack?
No.
Do you think attacks of this nature put everybody aboard Babylon 5 in unnecessary jeopardy?
We are already in far greater jeopardy than you can possibly imagine.
He's lying like a liar, lying like a rug. And she goes, well, can you tell us why your ship opened fire? And he's like, I mean, I'm going to issue a statement after I consult my government, because he's walking. He's clearly on business. And she's like, okay, I'm going to talk while he walks. And she's like, oh, does that mean your government sanctioned this attack? And he's like, what the fucking no. I said, I'm waiting for a statement before I give you I'm waiting for the government to tell me what to say.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, okay, because you guys did it. And he's like, fucking no. She goes, do attacks of this nature put everyone on Babylon 5 in unnecessary jeopardy?
Dead, like, so serious. We are already in far greater jeopardy than you can possibly imagine.
I know. That's his tragic backstory. His, whatever the Greek hero is that JMS said that he saw him as. The person who sees the future, knows what's coming, and will not be believed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did like that. That we're already in far greater danger. For all the apparent danger in this part of space, this is when Cynthia is like monologuing at the bar, and there's people like mean mugging in the back. They're like, look at camera, guys. Oh my God. Which is exactly what happens now. So it's nice to know that people don't change.
Yeah.
It seems to have little effect on travel because nearly 250,000 humans and aliens are here at any given moment. And they're like, some people stop off here, but some people live here. What does it take to call a place like this home? And then they interview Del Vientos, who is the...
From the dock crew.
It's nice to know he has not gotten a new hat. It's the same fucking hat. And he's like, it's a job. I don't know. I work here. I've been a lot worse places. So, I mean, have you been to the transfer point on Io? What about the ice mines of Europa? Do you think you worked there before? He goes, it gets crazy here. Sometimes, you get 50, 60 ships a day, loading and unloading. Every single one thinks it's a priority job. And then he's like turning and yelling at workers as he's talking to her. And he references the time last year when they tried to hit them with budget cuts. And he goes, but that's the past. You got to go along to get along. You know what I mean? And then just cuts to Sheridan.
CNC.
Oh, CNC.
And this is where we get the name for Tech One.
Yes, because he's like, I found this to be a really good working environment. And I've gotten some valuable experience. And she goes, you've never felt that your safety has been compromised? And he's like, oh, no, ma'am. The best part of this whole thing is Ivanova is in the background. Just staring at the camera like, he better say the right shit.
Right.
You better fucking say the right shit. She goes, so this has been a positive experience for you? You enjoy working with everyone? And he just goes, yes.
It's a calm, pleasant environment.
I don't think I've ever seen anyone get upset here. I guess it's an old joke. You don't have to be crazy to work here, but it helps.
I guess it's the old joke. You don't have to be crazy to work here, but it helps.
I think that's Sheridan.
Yeah, I think that's Sheridan.
We switched to Sheridan.
I didn't actually get a chance to rewatch it because the kids kept interrupting me. So I just went from memory.
Oh, no.
I mean, I like that. You don't have to be crazy to work here, but it helps, especially since it's Sheridan and he's at his most jovial, good old boy. Mm-hmm. His most like, I'm conforming to your expectations of me as a slightly vapid, warmongering type character where I'm just like, I mean, I'm doing my best. But sometimes I think math is confusing. Like that's the character he's playing for the network. And yes. I love that for him.
Yep. Yes, he's definitely playing the more himbo.
Yes, the himbo version of himself. Yeah. Because he's like, but also a little bit diplomatic where he's like, I'm learning things all the time here. I'm becoming a better person.
The charismatic himbo.
Who I definitely wasn't before. I'm definitely learning new things now because he's like, there's a certain attraction to being out here on the edge because it's a new frontier. There's a lot of new things happening. And she's like, new is right. And this is when she adds the odds. You know, the odds makers from New Vegas and Lloyd's of
Yes.
London predicted it wouldn't last 6 months. We referenced that the last time ISN had a reporter on the station.
Yes.
And he goes, "Oh, I don't gamble. I've never quite found the time for it." And so this is when she asks him about him being on a spaceship. You know, you were originally a ship captain. And he's like, "Yeah, the Agamemnon. You know, she's a real beauty. The first Omega-class destroyer off the construction line after the war. And our job was part military patrol, but also part diplomatic, because we went around to non-aligned worlds, put in an appearance, kept the peace, that kind of thing." And then she references the fact that there have been some dramatic changes in administration since it became operational. And would you attribute these changes to bad management? Which is interesting because it's the management that has changed, which means it's the higher level management that would be bad. So like the Earth Force, the Senate, because apparently they report directly to the Senate. Although, as we'll find out soon, Senator Hidoshi, who used to be the direct point of contact, is now former Senator Hidoshi.
Oh.
And we don't talk about whether or not that's because whether he got sick and passed away, whether he was staying in a hotel room with a balcony.
He fell out the window.
Then he kind of fell out the window, or whether he lost his bid for re-election. We just know he's no longer Senator Hidoshi.
Yeah.
He's former Senator Hidoshi. So that may be what she's implying. Like, are the senators who are authorizing things happening here, is that the management that's bad? Or is this a horse that's just too big for anybody to ride? Because she says, quoting former Senator Hidoshi. And he answers incredibly diplomatically, which is what I would expect. I'm glad JMS wrote this.
Yeah.
Because I can tell you JMS wrote this version of Sheridan. Because he's like, changes are part of military life. It's to be expected that sometimes you go to sleep someplace and then the next day you got to be somewhere completely different. I've been so many places in the last years that I've served. I can't even remember most of them. So you're right. But some days this is one hell of a big horse.
Some days this is one hell of a big horse.
Is what he says.
Yeah.
He's like, you expect turnover. It's the military.
That's the line. He's not answering her question of, would you attribute these changes to bad management?
No.
Or is it just too big for anybody to handle? And he says, I'm a flexible guy. And yeah, some days it is one hell of a big horse. But then no comment about the bad management or the perceived inevitable failure of Babylon 5.
Which is just, the most diplomatic way to answer that question. Is like, yeah, sometimes this is a big place.
But I'm up for the challenge.
And then we go to what is, to me, the fucking highlight of the entire episode. And it is Dr. Franklin's monologue. Because he sells this. I hate talking to you. I hate your stupid questions. I have way better stuff to do. I am so much smarter than you that talking to you demeans me. So let me go ahead and tell you a story so that you'll fucking go away because you don't want to talk to me anymore.
I'm going to convince you that you don't want to talk to me anymore.
Oh, you want the truth? Here's the truth. He goes, you know what folks back home don't understand? The ones who've never left Earth. It's just how dangerous space can be.
I interpreted this more as cyberpunk than noir.
Oh, it is very
dystopian.
Cyberpunk. You're right. The dystopian, and you know what? From some interpretations, I don't think it's a big stretch to say that Babylon 5 is not that far from cyberpunk. I mean, as soon as we...
it is a dystopian, futuristic environment.
As soon as you throw in the techno mages, it starts to get real fucking cyberpunk.
Yeah.
There's a lot about Babylon 5 that is dystopian.
Exactly.
It's just not presented to us as dystopian.
Right, because we're following these main characters that are doing their best to make themselves feel like they're living in a world where they have a chance and they have a hopeful future.
It kind of feels like you're living under a government that is falling apart And you just have to keep living your life because you don't have a choice.
Right.
You have to make money. You have to feed your family. You have to do your job. And so the only way to get along is just to continue functioning in your life as if everything back home isn't falling apart.
Right.
And that's what they're doing. And then this ISN reporter shows up to talk to them. And I think, to me, it feels like as we go through this episode, it's more and more obvious that this is not an unbiased newscast, that the intention of coming here was to validate the people that are saying that Babylon 5 is maybe not worth it.
Right.
And then they happen to arrive during a time period when something happens that has never happened before, which is open conflict between two species.
Right.
I mean, we've had...
It's a little bit serendipitous. Like maybe they hung around.
How did the
Narn
know
happened.
that the Centauri ship had weapons on it?
Oh, you think maybe they arranged for the
It would not be
Narn
that
and Centauri
hard
battle?
to send a tip to someone in order to
Oh, and
instigate
say,
conflict.
As we hear from Jakar later, the Centauri claimed the Narn ship was secretly carrying weapons of mass destruction. Or was it the Centauri ship?
The Centauri ship.
The Centauri ship was carrying weapons of mass destruction. So would it be plausible that ISN told the Narn that the Centauri ship was carrying weapons of mass destruction?
I don't think it'd be that unplausible. And she does say at the end, it would be a lie to say that this was a typical event.
Right.
But it still feels very coincidental.
Yeah.
That they happen to be outside the station, happen to be filming when this ship gets blown up.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I just want to put that out there. I don't think that I didn't see anywhere where anyone had implied that that's what was happening, but I think it's a better story if you think ISN manufactured the news.
Yeah.
I mean, ultimately, there are weapons of mass destruction as differentiated from the last time we went hunting for weapons of mass destruction. But that doesn't mean that they didn't find out from someone in the Centauri government and then feed that information to the Narn so that they could show Babylon 5 as an unstable place to ultimately undermine the public perception of Babylon 5. Because even at the end, when you're like, this isn't what it's normally like, no one's listening to that.
Yeah.
You're like, oh my God, did you see that shit about Babylon 5 where they were just blowing ships up and people were running into shelters like every 2 minutes? That would be terrible. And so you're not going to get tourists going to Babylon 5. And so tourism revenue is going to drop. And since we've hammered home the fact that Babylon 5 is trying to be cash positive all on its own, creating a situation where you don't have tourism is going to ultimately lead to like less money in Babylon 5. Yeah. Anyway, Dr. Franklin is like, in his cyberpunk monologue that he has is, the ones who've never left Earth just don't know how dangerous space actually is. He's like, aside from incidents like this, gestures broadly, just the everyday reality of living your days and nights in a big tin can surrounded by a vacuum. And then he talks about being on the transport of the Moon Mars run when he was a kid, maybe 17, and a buddy of his was messing around, zipping through the halls, and he hid in an airlock. You've been in space. Like, if he was 17, it was 20 years ago?
Mm-hmm.
Humanity's been in space for a full generation now. You should know not to hide in an airlock.
Well, if maybe this was his friend's first trip.
Okay.
In space.
It feels like, remember the Darwin Awards?
Yeah.
When you remove yourself from the gene pool for doing something incredibly stupid?
Yep.
That's what that feels like. He goes, I don't know. I guess he was trying to scare us or something. I don't know. But just as I got close, he must have hit the wrong button because the air doors slammed shut. The space doors open and he just flew out into space. And the one thing they never tell you is that you don't die instantly in a vacuum. So he just hung there against the black like a puppet with his strings all tangled up. Or those old cartoons where you run off the cliff and your legs keep going. He just keeps going. He's like, you could see that he was trying to breathe, but there was nothing. And the one thing I remember, when they pulled in his body, his eyes were frozen.
One thing I remember, when they pulled in his body, his eyes were frozen.
He's like,
A lot of people make jokes about spacing somebody, about
Garibaldi.
shoving somebody out in the airlock.
Garibaldi.
I don't think it's funny.
Never will.
I never will.
And then they cut away from him like, that's enough of that. Okay, thank you so much for your time, Doc. Do you think he kept going? Do you think he kept going?
Oh,
It was
probably.
like, not only were his eyes frozen, but let me talk about his balls. He's like, you know what happens to something that dangles free like that? Zero in a vacuum. Your blood boils. I don't ever want to do like a true crime podcast where we talk about real events, but there are certain events that don't get talked about that I think would be fun to chat about. And there's the one where there was a group of people on a like deep sea oil rig.
Yeah.
And they had this compression chamber under the water for the people that did the welding.
Yep.
And this guy opened the chamber without cycling the pressure lock.
Mm-hmm.
Some random miscommunication.
Yep.
And it flash boiled everyone in the pressure chamber.
Yep.
Because the pressure changed so rapidly. And people are like, oh, so they died instantly? And they're like, no, they died in the most painful way possible. Their blood literally spontaneously started boiling.
Yeah.
Anyway, I just don't think we really appreciate how dangerous some of the shit that we ask people to do is.
Right.
And then we're like, it's fine though. They're getting paid, so who cares? And then you get Dr. Franklin, who's like, let me lay it out. Here's why space sucks. So anyway, don't come here. Don't look in my fridge. Then we go to a monologue. Sorry, I monologued and now Cynthia monologues. And she's like, although the airlocks on Babylon 5 are considerably safer, the last 3 years have shown that the station itself is anything but secure. In its first year, there were half a dozen murders. I kind of want to go back and be like, did they pull this from their own, from season 1 episodes?
Yeah, was this an accurate count from the episodes of season 1?
Yeah, because he's like, there was half a dozen murders, 3 acts of sabotage, including a bomb that blew out 2 levels, and a barely averted attack by the Vorlon Empire. And I think that's from the Gathering.
Yeah.
When Kosh was not well and the Vorlons showed up and they were like, anyway, if he dies, we're going to kill all of you. And they had to save him to save themselves. Since then, there have been 50 deaths by violence. Violence. That's the word that will never leave me. I can't not
say violence with a southern
it's violence. Drawl. You got to do the O. Violence. So the question remains, given its cost in lives and money, is Babylon 5 serving any useful purpose? Or, as we're about to see, is the whole thing falling apart at the seams? And then we go to Jakar. And he's like, I've just been briefed by my government and I'm preparing to issue this statement. The Centauri ship was attacked by one of our vessels because it was not a commercial transport. It was secretly transporting weapons of mass destruction.
WMDs.
WMDs. I think anyone who lived through 2001 is now like, is your left eye twitching? Because my left eye is twitching a little bit. I remember when they went on the TV and they were like, they have WMDs. They have them and we have to go stop them. And all of those weapons of mass destruction are located around their oil wells. Weirdest thing.
So we're just going to go in there and just to not disrupt the supply of oil to the world, we'll go ahead and run those. We'll have our companies come in and manage those.
This is for your protection.
Yeah, it's to keep everybody safe. And to stop those weapons of mass destruction from being used.
This is 94. This is 7 years before. Or is it 95? 95. 6 years before.
Yep.
It was bound for the front lines where they're being used in a war against our people. Okay. Okay. Now, he goes on to say that Babylon 5 has been turned into a weapons supply post. We can't allow this to continue, even if it means shutting down Babylon 5 completely. Okay. Londo mentions later, after the whole kerfuffle, where he's like, what? No. What? No. And he's like, what? Maybe. However, they're transferring outside the station without coming into the station, and we have every right to do that.
Which has been discussed previously as, no, you're not allowed to do that.
Right. So my point here that I want to say is, where is the front lines?
The front lines of the Centauri Narn.
Where's the Narn Centauri front line located? We know that Babylon 5 is roughly 10 light years from Narn. So it's close to Narn.
Yeah.
So that makes sense.
Yeah.
Where is Centauri Prime in relation to Babylon 5? Why does Babylon 5 have to be where you make these transfers?
Because there's a jump gate there.
You could choose any jump gate. You could set up your own jump gate.
If you
and
have
just
big
have
enough
a-
ships, you could make your own jump points.
Right. You could have a spot where you meet the weapon, like you get the weapons and then take them to Narn. That is not, all they're doing is going to Babylon 5.
Right.
And transferring outside the station, which is functionally the same as transferring
You know what?
anywhere.
They could be piggybacking off the neutral territory part, where they have confidence that the Narns are not going to attack them near Babylon 5. Whereas anywhere else, there's a risk that the Narns find out where they're
Okay.
transferring weapons, and then the Narns attack them.
I will accept that as an explanation, because otherwise you could just choose a random secret location and be like, this is where we transfer weapons. Oh my God. Cookie just climbed up in Matt's arms after wreaking havoc on the soundboard.
Yeah.
And was like, I live here now. Oh, Cookie. Anyway. Okay. Because I was like, is this another, we're relief troops for Io situation where you go all the way to Babylon 5 and then you're like, we're just transports,
Yeah.
You're right. I think this is taking advantage of neutral territory. But how large is the neutral territory? Like, could you do this on the other side of the planet?
I think you'd still have to go through that jump gate,
Okay.
and that's probably within the bubble.
Okay. All right. Thank you for explaining that to me, because I was like, we could have just done this somewhere else and it would have been no big deal.
Right.
He's like, they have turned Babylon 5 into a weapons supply post, and we cannot allow this continue, even if it means shutting down Babylon 5 completely.
Bum, bum, bum.
Bum. 36 Hours on Babylon 5 continues with Cynthia Torkman, because then we have another commercial break, which they don't make a fake commercial for, alas. And this is when we come back and they are actually talking to a senator guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because they're like, according to figures released by the newly formed
Office of Public Morale. Huh.
Well, that doesn't sound fascist at all. It reminds me of in V for Vendetta. Don't they have a public morale office?
Something like that, yeah.
Because they have listeners who listen to what people are talking about in order to gauge what the people are worried about.
Yeah.
I just went down a mental rabbit hole, but I'm back now. Because I was like, is that what social media is? They don't even have to try and listen to us anymore. We just shout it into the void for everyone to listen to.
Mm-hmm.
President William Clark has risen to dramatic new levels of popularity, highest popularity ever. People are saying it's never been done before. We're the best.
Earth first.
This big, beautiful popularity because of the administration's emphasis on addressing the needs of Earth. And as a result, recent hearings in Earth Dome have opened the question of how much time and money should really be invested in a project that seems perpetually bogged down in non-human conflict. It does seem pretty bogged down in non-human conflict, but again, we all live here.
It's conversational conflict, not war conflict.
Right.
I mean, there is a war now, But for the first year and a half, they averted a lot of crises.
Right, but not human crises.
Not human.
Right. So they're not actually, but they are making the universe a safer place.
Right.
But what about me? What about Earth? Best part of the Addams Family movie, the second one. But what about Debbie? Earth is stuck in a what about Debbie moment where they're like, but what about us? Okay, but we all live here. We're keeping the house. It's the tragedy of common space, the tragedy of the commons.
Mm-hmm.
The idea that any space, literally, any location that is perceived as common space, no one takes care of, because if it's everybody's, then it's also nobody's.
Right.
But we all live here. It kind of feels like I was going to mention it later, but I think we can bring it up now. You read that really good trilogy called The Dark Forest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The Dark Forest trilogy.
Yeah. Where the idea,
three-body problem.
The idea is that one thing that happens when you are a sufficiently advanced technological race is you have to decide, do you support other races who will then eventually maybe destroy you or have the capacity to destroy you? Or do you go ahead and blow that shit up before it becomes a problem?
Right. Because technological development happens in big jumps.
Yeah.
And so, yes, you met another like spacefaring race, and you are more advanced than them right now. But in a matter of decades, they could then become more advanced than you, and then they're a threat to you.
Right.
So just take them out before they can become a threat to you.
Yeah. Which just highlights how short-sighted Earth government currently is in Babylon 5. Because they're talking about drawing back in, becoming more isolationist, becoming more Earth first. And ultimately, that will put Earth last, because the people that continue to cooperate, the people that continue to maintain a diplomatic presence in the universe, are the ones who will support each other and have a mutually advantageous relationship with each other. Whereas you have an isolationist planet that is not maintaining ties, not increasing their influence by increasing their relevance. Ultimately, that's going to put us behind. But it's really hard for a lot of people to conceptualize the idea that a community is not just you and your immediate people around you. It is also you in your town in your city in your state in your country in the world. Community is kind of like a taxonomy where there's levels of community, and it's important to maintain relationships through all levels of community, or you threaten to topple all of it.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? So I think that is the most dystopian thing about Babylon 5, is that we have this Earth first government that is trying to isolate Earth by
authoritarianism, isolationist policies. Yeah.
And that clearly, based on what Cynthia is saying, a lot of people on Earth are listening and are saying, you're right. What about Debbie? What about me? What if aliens come here and they get hurt and they go to the hospital, and then my tax dollars are paying for a Narn to get surgery? We can't have that. What if they come here and they're better at doing a job than I am, and they take my job that I didn't want anyway?
Or they'll do the job for less money.
Which is actually the problem.
Right.
Not the job, but the less money.
Specifically that any company, probably most companies, are completely willing to hire somebody for less money, regardless of how much value you currently provide.
Right.
They will totally ditch you if they can get a similar level of capability out of someone for less money.
Right.
Because the bottom line is the bottom line.
Right. I think that this is a TED Talk we can have. We're just going to leave it right there. There's so much more that can be said about that, but there are a lot of parallels between things we are seeing all over the world right now, really, and what's happening in the Earth government in Babylon 5. But I think that's what ends up making it feel so prescient is the way it mirrors so much of what's happening right now.
Yeah.
And then you're seeing it explored as fantasy in this science fiction setting.
Yep.
But again, all things considered, he'd rather have been wrong. And then we go talk to Senator Ronald Quantrill, not to get back to the episode or anything. Because he's like, Babylon 5 is something that President Santiago, the last guy, believed in very strongly. And I think, for his memory, if for nothing else, then we need to try to make it work. And Cynthia's like, that doesn't sound like a ringing endorsement. And he's like, well, I mean, obviously, it's taken a lot of heat. And the cost overruns have been astronomical. But you have to remember that it was conceived immediately after the Earth-Minbari War.
Right.
Not unlike the UN. And at that time, the idea of a diplomatic station to keep anything like that from happening again was like super appealing. But now, we've rebuilt our military far in advance of where we were 14 years ago. If the Earth-Minbari War started today, I think things would go a little differently. So while I'm not sure how much concrete benefit we really derive from Babylon 5 any longer, I suppose it still does keep us in a highly visible position for other races. And of course, it's very important for interstellar commerce and trade.
But interstellar commerce and trade is low priority when you're saying Earth first.
Yeah. This kind of felt like New Zealand after COVID. I think we've mentioned it maybe on this podcast, but like New Zealand pretty much made it through the pandemic.
They went hard lockdown.
Having any
everybody
major
went along
outbreaks.
with it.
Right.
Yeah.
And so they never really experienced the same challenges as of the pandemic as the rest of the world did. Yeah, the same losses. And now they are having a backlash where they do not
of COVID denial, where they do not actually believe that any of it was real and that they were forced into this lockdown against their will
for a threat that didn't actually exist because they didn't actually experience it.
Right. And it's like a lot of people now are like, Y2K was so overblown. It was such a scary story.
Yeah.
And then it turned out to be nothing.
It was fear-mongering.
But in reality, it was like every company doing technology like that, investing literally billions of dollars of time and effort and cooperation into averting this problem. And then they averted the problem.
Mm-hmm.
And like the hole in the ozone layer, it's like, the hole in the ozone layer, it closed itself. Yeah, because we stopped using this stuff.
CFCs.
Yeah.
Chlorofluorocarbons.
We did a global ban on those.
Yeah.
And just like the scientists said, hey, we need to stop using this. If we stop using this, the hole in the ozone layer will heal itself.
And we did, and it did.
And it did.
Yeah.
Right on track with the models.
DDT and the bald eagles. We almost lost the bald eagles to DDT, but okay. Or there was another one I thought of. Lead. Aerosolized lead from lead-based gasoline.
Mm-hmm.
Where we literally poisoned an entire generation with lead. And then we were like, I have talked to people who are like, that was a conspiracy. Cars run better on leaded gasoline. It was only in there to prevent engine knocking, which isn't even really an issue anymore. And yet there are people who are like, it was never a problem. Asbestos, allowing people to manufacture and use asbestos again. Because how big of a deal was it actually? Measles, mumps, rubella, polio. Yeah. We've forgotten how to be afraid of disease.
Yeah.
Because we live in a world where vaccines exist and we have the privilege of not being terrified that our children will die of measles.
Yep.
My kids will never have chickenpox. Ever.
Our children will not lose their hearing from catching chickenpox.
Right.
Like
and
your
people are
sister
like,
did.
well, chickenpox were just everybody, you just went to chickenpox parties because you got it out of the way. You got chickenpox as soon as possible. And then whatever.
Yeah, but what about all the people
What about
who
all
are
the people
permanently
who didn't just
damaged
be
by it?
okay? My sister is deaf because of chickenpox. If she had never had chickenpox, she would not be deaf.
Yeah.
I love her anyway. That's no shade on her, whatever. This just the point of the matter is she was fine. She got chickenpox. It damaged her inner ear. And now she's profoundly deaf.
Yeah.
Had she not had chickenpox, the following events would not have happened if she'd just been born in a time when she could get the chickenpox vaccine.
Mm-hmm.
Roald Dahl, author
Yeah.
of Matilda and BFG and The Witches, his daughter died of the measles.
Mm.
He said she was fine. They were making like paper animals together and she said she was tired and she laid down and she never woke up because you could get measles could transfer to your brain and cause like, anyway, it's survivorship bias. I'm fine. I had it and I'm fine.
Right. We've had the problem under control for so long that the society forgets it's a problem.
Right. Okay. Sorry. That's where he is with the Earth Minbari War. I
Yeah.
think we'd be fine. I don't know why it was such a hard thing 14 years ago, but like we're so much better now. It would be fine. He probably was not even in a position of power during the Earth Minbari War. He probably had bone spurs. Say that to Sinclair's face, okay?
Yeah.
Say it to his face. And then, because we go to Sheridan and Sheridan's like, the fuck?
With all due respect
With
to
all
Senator
due
Quantrill.
respect. He's like, speaking as someone who did his part, who fought on the front lines, who shoveled shit for the revolution, who was not sharpening pencils for a senator somewhere during the war. I'd have to say we still haven't fully recovered from the Minbari War, and we don't have anywhere near the level of technology that we would need in the event of another major conflict. And anyone who thinks we could hold our own against the Minbari, the Centauri, or God forbid, the Vorlons, is just plain kidding himself. And she's like, wow, you sound real mad right now. And he's like, no, no.
He's not angry about the war.
No, he's angry.
People like Ronald Quantrill.
It's when you keep hearing the same arguments made over and over again, and it just, after a while, it triggers you so strongly because you're like, my God, no.
Are you not paying attention?
Are you a moron? Why do I have to keep explaining this shit? Did you ask someone who had actually been in the war? No, you just talked to some random senator and he was like, well, you'd have been fine. Of course you would say that now. That's towing the party line. That's humanity is fine. Earth first. We are strong. We can do this together.
Mm-hmm.
As long as we're not taking care of anybody else. Like the only reason we're not farther in advance of where we are now is because we're spending so many resources on aliens. We need to bring it back to us.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, I'm not. It just sounds to me like jingoism and self-deception and armchair quarterbacking. He goes, anytime you lose a war, you just wait a few years and you'll hear from everyone who thought they could have won it if they had just done the fighting.
Yeah.
Anytime you lose a war, you just wait a few years and you'll hear from everyone who thought that we could have won if they'd have done the fighting.
Except, of course, Captain, we didn't lose the war. The Minbari did surrender.
Of course.
And she goes, except, of course, Captain, that we didn't lose the war. The Minbari did surrender. And the pause.
Colloquially, jingoism is excessive bias in judging one's own country as superior to others.
That fits.
It's a form of ultranationalism.
That fits. It fits. But the pause he pauses when she's like, I mean, the Minbari did surrender. And he's like,
Ooh, jingo. was the name of President Wilson's dog?
On purpose? Like, is that where we get jingoism? Or did he name it Jingo?
Let's see.
I was like the presidents that had a cat.
Oh, no, that was from a cartoon that someone made with the dog named Jingo. But jingoism comes from a song that was commonly sung in British pubs and music halls around the time of the Russo-Turkish War in 1877 to 78. The lyrics include the chorus, "We don't want to fight, but by jingo if we do."
Okay.
That we've got the ships, we've got the men, we've got the money. And so jingo became a term from that. The phrase "by jingo" was a minced oath, scarcely documented in writing, used in place of "by Jesus."
Oh, okay.
The term may derive from the Basque jinkoa, which is God.
Okay. So it's like, gosh, instead of God.
Yeah.
Or geez.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
geez.
jeez.
Exactly like that. But can we talk about the pause? The pause after she's like, I mean, we didn't lose. We won. The Minbari surrendered. And he's like, yeah, you're right. You're right. Of course.
Mm-hmm.
Because the things he did not say were
Yeah.
very loud in that pause. And then we cut back to her.
Well, yeah, he says, anytime you lose a war.
Yeah, and she's like, but
yeah,
we
she's
didn't
like,
lose.
But we didn't lose the war.
Right, and then he pauses, and what he doesn't say is very loud.
Yes.
Because his look on his face is like, you're right. I want to set you straight so bad right now. I want to rub your fucking face in what I know.
Did we really? There is no war in Ba Sing Se?
He just goes, of course. Of course. I don't know the phrase you just said.
It's from Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Oh.
There's so many, like, deep cut, like, military, political commentary stuff in there.
I will someday watch the cartoon. I tried watching the live action with the kids, and I know why it didn't do well.
The party, I think, skirts past the war in Ba Sing Se, and then they go somewhere else, and there's this whole, like, propaganda machine, and they mention the war, and then this lady's like, what? There's no war in Ba Sing Se.
Oh, okay.
Because that's the official government line.
Right. It's just like in 1984 when
Just like
his job is to
1984.
go back and change,
Change history.
yeah, change documents.
Yeah.
All right. Then we cut back to Cynthia. And she's like, who are the people who run Babylon 5? What is it you would say they do here? What
I'm
are
a
their
people
hopes
person.
and dreams? And she's walking around the observation dome as she's talking. She goes, when the captain is engaged in other affairs, diplomatic, business, this place is under the watchful eye of its perky and energetic commander, Susan Ivanova.
Ivanova.
That's right. She says it wrong, and Susan does not correct her, which this is probably an inside joke because were you Russian, it would not be Ivanova. It would be Ivanova.
Yeah.
But she pronounces it Ivanova. And so technically speaking, Cynthia pronounces it the way it would be pronounced.
Yeah.
And Susan pronounces it incorrectly, but it's flipped. And she's like, she's actually talking to the crew outside, like, make one more sweep, pull in whatever you got, head for the barn. And she's like, Commander Ivanova, would you tell us what you're doing here? She's like, investigating Jakar's allegations that the transport was carrying weapons, thus justifying his government's attack. The hazmat team is checking the debris for unusual levels of radiation or trace elements that could indicate unauthorized weapons. And she's like, okay, great. While we're waiting for the analysis, would you like to tell us a little about yourself? How did you get here? And she's like, well, I mean, that's not
important.
I was born in the Russian consortium. I went to school abroad most of my life, which explains why I don't have a Russian accent.
Mm-hmm.
I graduated from OTC 10 years ago. She's like, okay, well, why did you join Earth Force? And she's like, my brother was killed in the war, and I felt like I had to try and finish what he started. And as my luck runs, the war was over before I saw any action. And the lady, Cynthia, goes, "Now, Commander, I'm sure there's more to your story than that." And she just goes,
Yes.
"Yeah."
Now, Commander, I'm sure there's more to your story than that. Yes.
Very Kosh.
I love this because I have a feeling Claudia Christian is not nowhere near. I think if you sat Claudia Christian down and asked about her life, you would be there for the rest of your life. I don't think she would shut
Susan
up.
Ivanova's personality is not Claudia Christian's personality.
She has her own book that I want to read called Babylon Confidential.
Yeah.
And I follow her on Facebook mostly because she's really unhinged.
Really?
I don't know who needs to know this, but she just published a cookbook called like Snack Intervention or something. Let me look it up. I'll put a link in the show notes, but she just published a cookbook. I want to read Babylon Confidential while I'm looking this up because apparently she got shot at like a convention. Oh, it's called Snack Hacks.
By Claudia
Snack
Christian.
Hacks by Claudia Christian. Over 100 fast and delicious recipes for gamers, coders, freaks, and geeks.
I'm multiple of those things.
I propose, if we get enough on Ko-Fi for me to buy this book, this is a plug. This is absolutely a plug. Now for a word from our sponsors, which would be you if you sponsor us. If I get enough on Ko-Fi to buy this book, I will do a YouTube series of me making her snacks. I can cook. I'm a pretty good cook. I might actually follow the recipe.
What?
I know. I just think I love it. I love whatever is happening over there. I hope she's having a good time.
Yeah.
I just really hope she's enjoying her life. It feels like it. I really hope that's what's happening.
Yeah.
I did see somebody was like, why was this peak character design or whatever for Disney? And it was the character she voices in Atlantis. Because she voices like the chaotic mercenary version of Ivanova in Atlantis. And it was like why was this character so hot? Like Disney had no business making this character this sexy. And then she's actually in an episode of Highlander without Adrian Paul. She's the main character. She's like the main immortal. It was intended as like a
Potential spinoff,
which ended up going to a different lady and being called the Raven. And it's hot trash, hot fucking trash. Claudia Christian would have done better. I stand by that. But she's like a hypersexualized character in that too.
Yeah.
So only in Babylon 5. Oh, she's in another movie too where she has to play alongside like this puppet. We need to do a Claudia Christian deep dive because she has had the weirdest career.
Yeah.
The weirdest career. Anyway, we go from there to Garibaldi. After Ivanova's like, yeah, there's more to my story, but you're not going to fucking hear it. Which is all that she says when she says yes.
Yep.
Again, her silence is very loud.
Mm-hmm.
Very loud. Garibaldi has no qualms.
He'll chat with anyone.
You want to know about Garibaldi?
He's got the gift of gab.
Sit down. I'll talk about
This
Garibaldi.
is how he recruits informants.
Yeah. This is why he had a right-wing radio talk show. Oh, wait. No, that was the other.
That was Jerry Doyle.
Himself. Yeah. Not Garibaldi. I know that they're not the same person.
Good.
I don't suffer from parasocial relationships. He's like, what do I hope for? Oh, to get through this interview without getting fired. How's that for a start? I hope my mouth doesn't run away from me.
Wink, wink.
He's like, is it one of those questions? It's one of those questions I don't think about in words. Maybe because so many times it seems like if I say what I want, it never comes. She's like, I mean, there's got to be something. And he's like, yeah, I got a lot of little hopes. Every day I hope I get up and nothing will happen. It reminds me of the line from Good Will Hunting when he's like, every day I get here and I honk the horn and I hope you're gone.
Yep.
I hope you don't come out. I hope you've left. And at the end, he finally does. And he's like, yes, he finally ran away.
Yep.
Because I'd love to be bored out of my skull for 24 hours. And I guess I keep hoping that someday, somewhere, I'll make a difference. That at the end of the day, everything that we've gone through here for the past few years will mean something. And then he gets a call and they're like, hey, the hazmat report's back and we got a problem. And he goes, see what I mean? It's always something.
Always something.
He should have just asked her if she wanted to see his second favorite thing in the universe.
Yeah.
That would have really given her something to talk about. And then I was sexually propositioned, and he could be like, no, I mean duck dodgers, obviously. I said my second favorite, not my first favorite.
We're not that close.
And this is when she's like, so far we spent most of our time talking to humans, but aliens make up 42% of Babylon 5's population. Many of them live here in the so-called alien sector, which provides alternate atmospheres for 14 different species. And then she's like, ironically, the alien sector is how the aliens here refer to the human part of the station, proving once again that Beauty and the Beast are in the eye of the beholder. No one says that. No one says that. How are we
Beauty
proving
and
that
the
again?
Beast.
Well, you combine two things. It's like the guy in it's a day for referencing other properties. In Boondock Saints, the bartender.
Oh, yeah. He's
who's
always
like,
missing out.
Make like a tree and get the fuck out of here. Yeah, it's like that where she's like.
Malifaux.
Yeah,
Right.
she put two things together that are not together.
Yeah.
She was like, Beauty and the Beast are in the eye of the. Just Beauty is in the eye of the whole beholder. Leave the Beast out of this. Especially it's like an alien is walking past her and she's like, Beauty and the Beast. And she like looks at the alien guy who's walking past her like, ew, you know what I'm saying? Beast. And it's a Pakmara, which
Right.
is just unfair because they're the ones that eat carrion.
Right.
It reminded me of like the previous episode where the Pakmara guy was lying there in obvious pain. And Dr. Franklin's like, now check out this shit. Look at his tentacles. Aren't they weird? Anyway, she goes, probably one of the most elusive of all the aliens is Ambassador Kosh Naronic. He has a last name? When did he get a last name? Do we ever reference the last name ever again?
I wonder if this is one of those things where like Naranic is just a Vorlon word, like part of their introduction, how they say my name is.
Like the Avon River. Doesn't Avon mean
Avon
river?
means river.
Yeah, like that.
And Tor, there's a bunch of like Tor hills.
Yeah.
But Tor means hill.
Yeah. The hill.
Yeah.
I think there's one hill in Scotland that's named like hill in 3 different languages.
4.
Yeah.
I think it's
like that.
hill 4 times in different languages.
It's probably that. It probably means like, I don't know. But why give him a last name? You could just be like Ambassador Kosh Naronic? What? Okay. He's a representative of the Vorlon Empire. He's been here for 2 years, but we don't know anything about him, is basically what she says. And then she's like, however, when we got here, we got a glimpse of him. And there's this cutaway to them setting up, and Kosh like pops out and he's like, oh, shit. And he like backs up into his room. And she's like, tell me we got that. Tell me we got that. And my headcanon is he knew they were out there and he wanted to see if he could get on the news. So later when he's watching the news, he can see.
Be like, hey, look, it's me.
He's like, oh my God, I made that news. And then he gets a call from the Vorlon Empire and they're like, Kosh. And he's like, I know, I'm sorry. I didn't know they were out there. And they're like, you knew. You are like made of psychic energy. You fucking knew they were out there. And he's like, oh, okay, well, I made the news. Click, they hang up. And then we go to Delenn. I don't really want to talk about this part. I mean, I feel like reading JMS's idea of why he had it like this was like she didn't realize so many people were she didn't think it through. Okay. I mean, I get what he's saying. I don't think this fits with the Delenn who made the choice.
Right.
I feel like Delenn who made the choice fucking knew what she was doing.
Mm-hmm.
And then to have all of these moments where she's like, I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it. It's just getting on my nerves. It's getting on my nerves at this point. I want her. Okay, here's how Delenn in season 1 handles this. Delenn in season 1 hears from the Minbari that they now consider her like a freak of nature.
Yeah.
Right? And then she spends 3 days in seclusion getting her thoughts in order about the whole business, thinking through like, okay, I did this. I thought they were just going to accept it. They didn't. Why aren't they? The humans aren't accepting me. Why wouldn't they? The Minbari aren't accepting me. Why aren't they?
Right.
I don't know if she journals about it. I don't know if she phones a friend, but she sits down and figures her talking points out, figures her shit out. And then the next time someone's like, I don't talk to you, you're a freak. She's like, let's do this.
Right.
Why do you think I'm a freak? Here's why I did it. In my shoes, do you not think I am fulfilling the highest value of our people, which is service? I gave up who I was in service of our people. And just because you lack the capacity to understand what I've done doesn't mean that I have to suffer your bigotry.
Right.
And instead, she fucking bites her hand. At one point, she turns and is like, huh, and like bites her finger as if she's so upset. She's trying to keep herself from crying. So she... We do get some talk, some lore about what Minbar looks like, because most of their planet is ice and it's heavy in crystalline structures. So their cities are built into the crystals, which sounds pretty fucking cool.
Yeah.
And they have 3 languages. So each caste has its own language. And she says something in the Minbari language. This is like, I'm your friend in peace. And then the lady's like, are you my friend though? Because you're friend shaped, but I don't like that you're friend shaped. Don't you think people will be insulted because you took a human face? And this feels like the exact debate they would be having on Threads. Is this cultural appropriation? Is this the Minbari version of human face? Mm-hmm. Is this whatever? And she's like, I did this because I wanted to be a bridge. I wanted to be able to understand both the Minbari perspective and the human perspective so that anyone could come to me and we could figure this shit out, because there's clearly something here that did not connect.
Right.
And I'm going to say a thing now that's a bit of a spoiler. And if you've never watched this, I'm real sorry. Fast forward for a little bit or listen to it. It's not that big of a spoiler. But one of the reasons JMS intended her to have kind of this emotional meltdown that she has in this scene is because it's partly that this lady is confronting her about a choice that she's clearly, if not regretting, then in internal conflict about.
Yeah.
But also referencing the number of humans that were murdered during the war and the fact that Delenn is directly responsible for the war. Yeah. Because she was on the ship that they fired on and they killed her mentor.
Right.
And she literally said, kill them all. So she is also wrestling with her role. And that's when you know that and you can turn around and look back at her behavior with that lens, it makes a lot more sense, because it's not, she didn't just do this because she thought it was going to be right. She also feels incredibly guilty. And
right.
She is trying to find a way to make amends for her role in what happened.
Yeah.
And so it's less that she completely thought it through and more that it was like, I'm going to do this, and whatever punishment I receive from it, I deserve.
Yeah.
And I wish we could have Uno reversed the order of events. I wish we could have learned that she was doing this because she felt guilty because of her direct role in the
starting
Minbari
the
War.
Yeah.
And that later it became a thing that she acted like she thought completely through. Instead of starting with, Delenn knows what she's doing. She's accepting this sacrifice. She's willing to stand up for what she believes in. And then transitioning into, she's a hot fucking mess every time somebody mentions her hair.
Right.
I don't think it works in that direction. I think it works better flipped. Mm-hmm. I think maybe in 1995, you would have been like, okay, I don't know that you would have felt the same level of conflict about it that I feel about it. But in 2025, what you see is a strong female character who has immediately lost all of her agency. Delenn was a very strong, very self-assured, very poised character who could very elaborately, very intelligently engage in conversation about all of her decisions. And then all of a sudden, as soon as someone's like, how do you think humanity would feel about seeing you look like them when you're a member of the race that killed so many of them?
Right. But she's also like I mentioned before, she had she was in a position of authority. She
Right.
had the backing of her whole government because she kind of was the government.
Right, but that's why I'm saying if we see it flipped, so we see her having this position of authority, but knowing that she used that position of authority
To do something
very
very
bad.
damaging.
And so then realizing that even though this may cost her everything, that she's okay with that because it's what she needs to do to make amends for her role. Rather than flipping it this way, which is like, we don't know why she's acting like this. We don't know why all of a sudden she's gone from being Ambassador Delenn to I fall apart when someone asks me a hard question and I literally bite my own hand. I'm so upset.
Well, we do know that she's been ostracized by her entire society.
Right, but we don't know why. I guess it's the motivation. We don't know her full motivation for doing this.
That's true. Yeah.
The motivation we've been given is that she thought it through. She thought that the prophecy applied to her, and so she was trying to fulfill the prophecy.
Right. She thought she was the best person to go ahead and do it.
So it comes off as a very empowered move that immediately unempowers her.
Right, because she gets shunned.
As opposed to showing this motivation as an act of desperation to make amends for what she perceives as her greatest mistake.
Yeah.
Her greatest shame. If I knew that ahead of time, I wouldn't be so mad. That's what I'm trying to say. But we get there. We do eventually get there. And she is going to embody this role a lot more firmly than she is right now. But this is not my favorite moment in this episode. Because I want her to at least be composed and kick this lady out and not be like, can we stop? I don't feel good right now. Can we quit? I don't like it.
So she says over 250,000 humans were killed. They destroyed 80% of all human spaceships.
Okay, but maybe there weren't that many people on them.
Maybe.
I don't know. The numbers don't work.
Maybe they weren't destroying colonies.
The numbers don't work.
Yeah.
Just leave it. We'll come back to that discussion later.
Yeah.
And we leave Ambassador Delenn because she's trying to get this lady to stop recording her. And she's like looking away and being agonized. And I'm not going to discuss everything that happens in that because I'm going to get really angry if I do. And they end up calling her to chambers because they've been informed of a development in the Narn attack. And the Advisory Council and the League of Non-Aligned Worlds have all convened.
Jakar's bringing up the council discussion.
Yes. Then the ISN has been given permission to record. I don't know when you see the camera like getting up in people's faces, in your mind, it's a person with a camera, but it's literally like a little floating disc. It's like a drone filming these people.
Yeah.
You see it at one point in the show. And I think we saw it when ISN was there last time, when the last reporter was there.
Yeah.
And he's like, thanks to Commander Ivanova's investigation, Jakar says, we have proof of what we've been saying all along. That ship that we destroyed was carrying fusion bombs and support equipment for ion cannons and mass drivers. Probably not plasma drivers, but mass drivers.
Oh, that's in the docking bays.
Mm-hmm. And heavy energy weapons. My tongue is not cooperating. So we've already filed a complaint with the Centauri government. That's what Sheridan said. He's like, we wrote a strongly worded letter. We sent a missive on the grounds that Babylon 5 is neutral territory and not to be used as a staging ground or a munitions depot. Poor Bruce Boxleitner had to get put into the formal uniform for this. He's clearly been eating a lot of oranges. He's not fat by any stretch of the imagination, but
It's tight.
That bit of trim that they put around the belt area is not doing him any favors. It is not doing him any favors. It is sticking straight out.
Yeah.
And if you had just had that belt a little higher or omitted it entirely, you probably wouldn't even have noticed that he's got a bit of a pooch. But they put it like right over. He's got his dad. He's rocking a dad bod, which is hot now, so it's fine.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, this kind of irresponsible activity endangers everyone on the station, which it does. classified shipments are transferred outside the station ship to ship. That's what Londo said. He's like, we're not bringing them in. We're doing it like outside.
We're doing it outside.
Right,
We're doing it in the parking lot.
You don't own the parking lot. I'm allowed to do whatever I want to in the parking lot. The risk to Babylon 5 is minimal. And they say, we've already seen your minimal risk, which is true. Like, we've already, I think we're all here because the risk is not minimal.
Right.
And I wrote, Londo, Jesus, who are you right now? Because he's like, I mean, maybe we got weapons and we're transferring them here, but we're like not bringing them inside. So I don't know what your big deal is. He's like, our ships have the right to carry any cargo they choose, and we will not surrender our sovereign rights. I would argue in neutral territory, you do not have any sovereign rights.
In Centauri territory, you have sovereign rights.
In neutral territory, you do not. And I just wrote, my rights.
But my rights!
You're infringing on my freedom of speech. That I am using to destroy another race. But my rights. He goes, the sovereign rights of any race, Delenn says, the sovereign rights of any race end when they threaten innocence, not innocence. Innocence like individuals who are innocent, not innocence as in the general concept of innocence. Yeah. The subtitles got it wrong. He goes, it's fine. This is what Jakar says. He goes, enough. They're doing what they always do. They're just using details to distract us from doing what needs to be done. He's posting on Truth Social. Like, I don't know what to tell you. He's just throwing a smoke screen.
He's distracting us with BS.
Right.
Yeah.
And he's like, there's 7 more Centauri vessels right outside, and I have every reason to believe that they also carry weapons of mass destruction. And we demand that these be impounded and the weapons seized. And Londo's like, hell no. You will not, you can't allow this. This is Babylon space. And here we have sovereign rights. No, you don't. That's not what sovereign rights means. He goes, our ships will defend themselves against any who try to seize them. Perhaps if the transports return to Centauri space, now that is where they would have sovereign rights because that is their sovereign space. He's like, well, I mean, we can just go. I mean, we didn't get it. We were getting away with it. We're not getting away with it anymore. So I guess we could just like leave. And Jakar's like, yeah, allow you to take the ships with all the fucking weapons back to Centauri so you can turn around and take them to the front lines to destroy us?
Hell
I don't
no.
fucking think so. And then as soon as they start to say something more, the lights go out and they're like, oh, what the hell? And then we get a call from CNC because there's a shooting war happening outside. Like the sounds you hear are weapons of the Narn and Centauri vessels doing battle just outside Babylon 5. And let me tell you, during this whole scene, I was stressed. I was so stressed because it's like, oh no, my best friends are all fighting because Sheridan's fighting with Jakar, Jakar's fighting with Londo, Londo's fighting with everybody. I was like, everybody can just get along. Why is everybody trying to kill each other? I was so stressed because I was like, I don't remember what they choose. I don't remember how Sheridan gets out of this. Like I knew he did, but I could not remember how he solves this. And so it made me feel very stressed out. And in the end, he's like, I mean, just shoot them all. Try to take them out. Don't blow them up if you don't have to. Disable them if you can. Mm-hmm. Even though Jakar's like, I'll consider it an act of war. And Londo's like, well, I'm going to consider it an act of war even harder. You guys shoot on. He's like, I don't care. My first job is to protect the people on Babylon 5, which is true.
Mm-hmm.
And so even though you guys, this is some sort of pissing contest to decide who gets to control Babylon 5.
Right.
Who gets to use Babylon 5 for their own means or their own ends.
Right, because Jakar and Londo are both trying to
And ultimately
take advantage of the neutral territory.
Ultimately, Sheridan is like, neither. This is me, bitch.
Both of you are wrong.
You're in my yard.
Get
You're
off
in
my
my
lawn.
yard. And so they give them the opportunity to surrender. They don't, so they fire on them. And they end up, they have to drop the pressure doors finally to close the window.
Yeah. The blast doors.
I know. And We get
I thought it was interesting. They said our vid systems are being plugged into the station's external cameras and communication systems. And then we get a view from one of the fighters.
I guess that would be one of their external cameras. Which
that seems like a huge security problem because the enemies could view the cameras on the ships.
Well, we know for a fact that they don't use them half the time because most of the time
true.
they're like, what could have happened? What happened here? You know, if they actually had video on the outside, then when Warren encountered the shadow ship, he would have had a video of the shadow ship to show people, and he didn't.
Right.
So this is the first time. Maybe they only turn them on sometimes. I don't fucking know. What matters is it all wraps up. Delta Squad shoots some people. It's fine. This is an episode of Sheridan calling people's bluffs, which is probably why I was so fucking stressed the entire time. Because he does it. He stops them. And then the Narn and the Centauri are both like, okay, so it's not like we said act of war. But I think what we were actually saying was acte de war, which just means go ahead and do it. It's fine. Okay, it's fine. It's fine. And then he walks over to Ivanova and he's like, you need to get me Jakar and Londo. I want to see them immediately. And Ivanova goes, what if they refuse? And he's like, then you can throw them in the, and she goes, and looks over at the camera. And he's like, invite them as firmly and as politely as you can. This nonsense has gone far enough. And then she goes, the nonsense Captain Sheridan referred to is the Narn Centauri War. That's what he means by nonsense.
Yeah.
Gentle listener, which over the past months has grown into a conflict which threatens to spill into other systems. Obviously, because it's happening right here, right now.
Yeah.
Prior to the battle we witnessed, ISN spoke with representatives on both sides. So this is actually prior to the battle. This was like an earlier interview of Jakar, which is why he's so calm.
Right.
And I love this because it's Jakar backstory. Ah! I was like, oh, tell me more. Can we interview him for longer? Please. And he has to be like, roughly 150 of your years ago, the Centauri came to our world. And we greeted them, and then we spent the next 100 years in chains.
Narn was a green and fertile place then. We greeted them in peace and spent the next 100 years in chains. But we never gave up hope.
That's a good line, too. Because we never gave up hope. We formed a resistance, learned their secrets. And she's like, how did you become involved with the resistance? And then he tells you about where he's from. He's like, my family lived in Jaquamazad, one of the largest cities on Narn. And my father served in a Centauri household. I was barely a pouchling at the time. My mother was ill, which is why we stayed and didn't escape with other people. And it was like a really difficult time. We were striking deep into Centauri resources. Things were tense. One day, my father spilled a cup of hot jala on the mistress of the house, and she had him killed. They took him out, tied his hands together, and hung him from a Jawa tree for 3 days. And his last night, I went out there, even though my mom told me not to, and he told me that he was proud and to go fight and be all of the things that he never was, and then he died. And the next morning, I ran away and killed my first Centauri. And then he looks real nostalgic. He's like, you never forget your first time. He's like, she says, why do you think they invaded? And then he gets the
exploitation.
Oh my God. Why does any advanced civilization seek to destroy a less advanced one? Because the land is strategically valuable, because there are resources that can be exploited, but most of all, simply because they can.
Why do you think they invaded back then?
Why does any advanced civilization seek to destroy a less advanced one? Because the land is strategically valuable, because there are resources that can be cultivated and exploited, but most of all, simply because they can. You have experienced much the same on your own world. There are humans for whom the words "never again" carry special meaning, as they do for us.
And then he goes on, because the knife was not dug in deep enough, you have experienced much the same on your own world. Humans for whom the words never again carry special meaning. That's a good line. That's a really good line. You know, Star Trek is very good about being like, okay, here's the space Russians. Here's the space black people. Here's the whatever. And Star Trek does a very good job with like, we don't erase disability. We just learn how to accommodate it without stigma. And overall, they generally handle everything pretty well. I mean, there's a couple of episodes, but for the most part, Babylon 5 is like, yes, but also here's space colonizers. Here's space. Let me one up the ante and then rub your fucking face in it. Right. How about that? Because then she goes on with, how do you respond to reports that your military's lost, you know, the majority of the conflict, like that you guys are losing? And he's like, Centauri propaganda, we will never fall back and we will never surrender. And then we cut to Londo. And Londo's like, oh, I mean, they were just like gross.
Living in the dirt.
They were a primitive people. We gave them technology. We brought them glass beads. I don't know why they're so mad. You know, the best thing that happened in the last couple of years is there is this company in Canada that makes these blankets. I think it's Pendleton.
Is this the one where they had appropriated like the indigenous designs?
What they used to do is trade for these woven blankets and then sell them for a profit. And then eventually they just appropriated making them. And anyway, they've been around for a really long time.
Right, but then the company was going out of business.
Yeah, and so a bunch of First Nations tribes got together and they were like, we'll buy it from you for a copper teapot.
Yep.
I'd have done it. If I was the Hudson Bay guy, I'd be like, you know what? It's yours.
Fair.
I will take one copper teapot. Because that's what they would do, is they would bring things that were like glass trade beads or copper pot, copper cups, whatever, and just be like, ooh,
we want this whole forest. They'd be like, okay, you can use the forest for a copper teapot. Sure.
Yeah. Or just give you the teapot and then be like, thanks, I'm going to take the forest in exchange.
Yeah.
Yeah. He goes, we gave them technology, centuries ahead of their own, took them with us to the stars, taught them laws, civilized them, and they repaid us with terror and death. So rude.
When we first met the Narn, they were, what? A primitive people. We gave them technology centuries ahead of their own, took them with us to the stars, taught them laws, civilized them. They repaid us with terror and death.
So you're saying that the Centauri originally came to help the Narn?
Of course. And at considerable expense, I might add.
They're colonizers.
Yes, the Centauri are colonizers.
The Centauri are colonizers. It's like, so you're saying that the Centauri originally came to help the Narn? And he's like, oh my God, yes. And at considerable expense, I might add. Which is why we finally left. You know, we wish them well, but it's just so expensive to stay there. She's like, you mean you weren't driven off the Narn homeworld? And he was like, please. The Narn have rewritten history enough, don't you think? Hang on, we're the white guys. We get to write history.
Right.
Excuse you, ma'am. If they wanted us gone, we were hardly going to force the issue. But ever since, they've grown more and more irrational. They've gone out of our way to harm us. Is he England right now? What is it, like every 48 hours, a country somewhere on the planet celebrates its independence from England?
The British Empire, yeah.
Okay. He goes, finally, we had to take a stand. You know, they were the ones who declared war, remember? Not us. Yeah, after you bombed their largest colony, they were like, I guess we're at war. And they were like, you said it, not us. You said it, not us. He goes, we only want peace. God, this is the whole history is written by the victor's narrative in real time. Yeah. Which is, this part was also stressful because Londo's also my friend. And Londo was a total dick in this interview because he's like, we did nothing wrong. We showed up. We gave them smallpox, but then we also showed them how to take care of people who had smallpox. I mean, come on. How can they know how to take care of sick people if we don't make them sick to start with? It was a gift. It was a gift, okay? You're welcome.
And they spat in our face.
You're welcome. And then we cut back to Cynthia monologuing again. And she's like, oh, we only want peace. Both sides say the same thing. But as we've just seen, the reality is anything but peaceful. And then they continue because the skirmish is wrapped up. They've impounded the vehicles, the transports, the Centauri transports, and they're getting ready to search them when a jump point opens like directly over the station.
And a Centauri battle cruiser shows up.
I know. And then Londo pops up. Londo pops up on the link in the CNC. And this looks like...
I warned you not to interfere.
The best part about this is it looks like the visual equivalent of those videos you see online, the reels you see online, where somebody's laying in bed and filming themselves from above.
Mm-hmm.
And they're having like a talk, like they're telling you something interesting, but they're clearly just laying in bed filming themselves. That's what it looks like Londo is doing. He is lounging in this chair like, oh, hey, sup, I was sleeping. And then they woke me up to tell you this shit. But yeah, I'm sorry this had to come as a surprise, Commander, but I warned you not to interfere. You have no right to detain our ships. Southern accent feels right here. You know, if we don't act in our own defense, we invite others to act against us. So that Centauri cruiser is going to blockade Babylon 5 until our ships are returned, intact and unopened. And any ship attempting to enter or leave Babylon 5 will be fired upon, boarded, and then sent back. You know, and we're going to try to be real nice about it, but if you provoke us, then, we may use deadly force, even against Babylon 5 itself. How does he see this going?
How does Londo see this going?
Is the Centauri so drunk on their recent victory against the Narn that they're positive they can take on the rest of the universe? If they blow Babylon 5 up, Delenn is on Babylon 5. There are a lot of Minbari on Babylon 5. Kosh is on Babylon 5. Not to mention the representatives of all of the planets from the League of the Non-Aligned Worlds. Like, you will open a shitstorm can of worms.
Right.
If you blow up Babylon 5.
Right, you're not just threatening Earth Force. You're threatening, like, every civilization.
Did he really? I mean, this is like they're stuck in their own hamster wheel of posturing.
Yeah.
They have to continue to posture. It's the same way that male toxicity, like toxic masculinity, traps you in this cycle of having to reinforce your own maleness.
Yeah.
Because if it was natural, it would just happen. You wouldn't have to keep doing it.
Right.
So if the Centauri were actually the prowess that they believed they were, they could casually exercise their authority in the way that the Minbari casually exercise their authority.
Right.
But because they are not actually as strong as they have made themselves out to be, they are stuck in this wheel of constantly having to show people how strong they are, even when it doesn't make sense. So once he said, if you destroy our ships, it will be considered an act of war. He was stuck then having to call the cruiser.
Yeah.
And then Sheridan immediately calls his bluff by sending a transport, which I'm hoping is an empty transport. Can you imagine being like, okay, guys, there's a Centauri blockade, but we're going to run the blockade. Who volunteers to be on this ship out? Tickets will be 50% off. Ooh,
right.
Okay. A discount. I love discounts.
I'll take that risk.
Yeah. But we then cut to the commercial, and this is the commercial for Psycor.
This is so good.
John, why aren't you outside playing with the other kids? They hate me. No, John, it's true. I'm different, Mom. I can feel what they think about me, and they know I can. Well, if you're like that, of course nobody likes you. You sound like a douche, John. I know what you're thinking. Keep it to yourself, kid. This is so funny because it's this kid being like, I'm different, Mom, and that's why nobody likes me. And she's like, are you psychic? Not, maybe you're autistic or something. She's just like, I called one of them a liar because I knew he wasn't telling the truth somehow. And he just kept hitting me until I said I was the liar and I don't know what to do anymore. And this is the most 90s mom because she's not like, give me the name of the kid. give me the name of the kid and give me the name of his parents. We're going to go take care of this right now. She's
Right.
like, what if I just narked on my own son, in fact? Because she's like, don't worry, Johnny. We'll take it from here because a psychop appears in a puff of smoke. This should have been Bester. Do you know how much better this is if that's Bester?
Yeah.
If you have Walter Koenig come to be like, don't worry, Johnny. We'll take care of you. Look, a psychop. That's right, Johnny. There are a lot of other kids who feel just the same way you do. They're confused and afraid, and they don't have to be. The problem isn't that other kids don't like you. It's they don't understand you. But we do. This is the definition of a cult. You're in a low moment. Let me go ahead and provide you with a sense of community. Like we're all in this together, and that will bond us together.
Right. And then the other half of the cult is cults are almost always about exploiting labor.
Yeah.
So they're getting people, like believers in the cult, to exploit their labor.
The labor of telepaths.
Yes.
Yeah. He's like, you're special. You're a latent telepath about to come into full bloom. I hate that phrase. I hate that phrase so fucking much. I hate full bloom. My Johnny, a telepath? Probably. But to be sure, take him down to the Psychor testing centers. They're located fucking everywhere for your convenience.
Wink, wink. We're everywhere.
We're everywhere. How do I find one? We're everywhere. For your convenience. We're everywhere for your convenience. We have offices in schools and children's hospitals. We even have a mobile testing center.
centers. If he qualifies, we'll give him an education, a job, a purpose, and we'll pay all his bills for life. Which reminds me of the military recruiting tactic
Yeah,
in
we'll
the
sell
US.
you on socialism.
Depends on not having the things, like explicitly denying the things,
Yeah.
like universal health care, universal basic income, free lunch at school.
Right.
And they say, oh, if you join the military, we'll pay for school. We'll pay for your house. We'll get you a loan for your
Right.
house.
Why? You want to know why nobody takes any action to improve the lives of everyday
They
citizens in most
explicitly
countries?
prevent
Yeah.
the
They
improvement of
need
lives.
you down here. They need
So they
you.
can exploit you.
Yes, because when you are desperate, they can do anything they want. If they made you content and well taken care of, they don't get from you what they need to get from you.
Right. They can't.
They can't exploit
can't
you in the way
leverage
they
you.
want to.
Yeah.
This is end stage capitalism.
Yeah.
This is malignant end stage capitalism. Is they would literally rather you starve to death than bail you out. Because if they bail you out, now you're not going to join the military. You're not going to work for, I think minimum wage in our state is $7.50, which is nothing. I can't even get a drink from Starbucks for $7.50 anymore.
Yeah. For an hour of work.
I could work 80 hours
Pre-tax.
Pre-tax. Right. I'm taking home something like $5 an hour, which means I could work 40 hours a week and make $200.
Yep.
And then people are like, how come people don't work? Anyway, that's another soapbox I'm not going to get on. But anyway, I love this commercial so much. Because he comes back and he's like in a uniform and his hair is brushed back. And she's like, oh my God, Johnny, I can't believe it. You've come so far. Just look at you. We're all so proud. And I'm proud to be a part of the Psychor. And then they turn and deliver the most dystopian-ass message in the happiest tone of voice. Because they're like, remember, if someone you know might be a telepath or you think you might be one yourself, help them to get the help they need. Call the Corps. Telling on your enemy makes them your friend.
Yep.
Call government information for more on Psychor Center near you. This message is from the Ministry of Public Information and your local Psychor recruitment office. And then we come back because we're entering our 30th hour aboard Babylon 5 and the Centauri Narn crisis has not diminished. And they're back in the council chambers to debate this. But it's a closed session for once because they're like, can we not do the whole ISN thing right now? Meanwhile, all traffic in or out of Babylon 5 has come to a halt due to the Centauri blockade. And this is when Sheridan walks out and she's like, hey, Captain, do you have any news on the progress of the negotiations? And he's like, well, everybody's still talking. And that's literally all I can say for now. And she goes, is it true some of the Senate suggested that you accommodate the Centauri by releasing their vessels without search? And he goes, surely you jest. Basically. He's like, as the commander of record on Babylon 5, I doubt the Senate would undermine my position in these negotiations by armchair quarterbacking.
Right.
I would hope that they are not doing this thing. Because
it would be a disgrace for them to do that. It would be shameful for them to do that.
I'm in charge here. This is me. I'm boots on the ground. I get to make these decisions. And then Jakar comes out and she's like, do you have anything to say? And he goes, this should prove once and for all that the Centauri are a menace to more than just our world. This kind of thing cannot be allowed. And we will take whatever steps are necessary to make that perfectly clear to them. And she's like,
what does that mean, Ambassador Jakar?
What do you mean? And he's like, out. Jakar, out. Let me come back to the senator that she was interviewing earlier. And this is a retrospective. So this is after the 36 hours because we keep alluding to the hundreds of lives lost.
Yeah.
And during this whole interview, we keep alluding to it, but it hasn't happened yet. So it's a good way to build tension for us as viewers of like, oh, what is going to happen? How is this going to shake out? Because he's like, you know, the events on Babylon 5 that took place during your recent visit are kind of emblematic of what many of us in Earthdome worry about, which is that if we put an Earth installation between warring factions, then they're just going to draw us into their conflicts that we don't really have any part of. And it's not really relevant to Earth's interests. So if we had not been in that place at that time, would everyone still have lost their life? Like, would the terrible things still have happened? I don't know. But on the other hand, Senator, they are at war with one another, and people die in war. It maybe just wouldn't have happened in our backyard. You know, what happened next came with the reluctant support of Earthdome, meaning like they backed him up, but they didn't really want to back him up. Right. You know, the hundreds of deaths. I just don't know how we can continue to support that kind of thing. I'm glad you made it out alive, Cynthia. We need all the good reporters we can get. Bloop, bloop. It's almost like when you privatize public media, then private interests has a say in what gets shown on the media.
Yep.
And when private interests are allowed to buy the government. What was that act that made it so corporations could be considered people for the purposes of
Citizens United?
Citizens United. Yeah, anyway, look that up. It's definitely not one of the reasons we're here, where we are right now. 10 minutes ago, Captain Sheridan received a transmission from Earthdome on the current crisis. We're back on Babylon 5. And after considerable negotiations, they've been allowed back in the CNC. They're probably like, don't fucking talk to me. Don't look at me. Don't interact with me. Don't voice an opinion. Don't interview anyone. Just fucking stand there and shut up, which is effectively what they do.
Right. And so he basically tells the Centauri that we're not going to release your ships. Back the fuck off. We got our guns out.
Yeah, I'm sorry. We're not going to consider any demand made under terrorist threat. So we've gone ahead and activated our defense grid. And we are prepared to defend ourselves.
And the best defense is a good offense.
Yeah. So any hostile action taken by you will be considered an aggressive act. And we will respond accordingly. And then he says, if they send a reply, don't acknowledge it. So then he blocks them.
Yeah.
He says his piece and then he's like, out. He's like, let him sweat for a while. They did just get a new defense grid. So, I mean, that was the whole point of the Gropos episode from my point of view, was just to be like, their defense grid got an upgrade. Yay!
Yeah, from the Earth Technology, whatever research.
Yeah. Research and Technology Division. So then
Resources and Technologies Division.
Oh, not research, but resources. Interesting. Anyway, they let the thing through. They send a transport and they're like, don't activate autopilot just in case.
Yeah.
Like, so we can get out of there if we need to. And they don't even say anything. They're actually getting ready to discuss things with the Centauri cruiser. they want to talk. And he opens a channel. He's like, open a channel. Let's be gracious. And she gets ready to interview him. She's like, Captain, any thoughts on the... And then a second jump point opens, and it's a Narn cruiser.
Of course.
And Sheridan is like, can you not? We got it. We got it, bro. Can you not? And then they end up firing on each other, and ultimately they destroy each other.
Yeah.
Everyone loses. Including almost Babylon 5, because that's a lot of debris right near Babylon 5.
Yep.
The outer skin of Babylon 5 must be thick, because that's a lot of, like, that Centauri cruiser is right over Babylon 5, and it gets blown up, and that shit doesn't all get vaporized.
Right.
And then they would have to clean around Babylon 5, because now you have all this loose debris that could definitely fuck up somebody's ship just floating around everywhere. It's a mess, and I would have built Londo. And that's the end of it. That's the end. We don't see the resolution. End up blowing up. We don't see, like, the final discussion between anybody, because we immediately go back to being with the journalists, which is kind of the beauty of this episode, because we get to experience what's happening on Babylon 5 the way
someone on Earth would.
Yeah, someone on Earth in 2259 would. Because they don't get to stop and see, like, Ivanova and Sheridan having a drink in his quarters after all this is over and having, like, a talk about how it went. It just ends. And she says, you know, as a journalist, we'd be remiss in our responsibilities if we suggested that this is what life was really like on Babylon 5, like day in and day out. Like everyone else, they have good days and bad days. And there can be no question that it's a flashpoint that can only grow hotter as time passes. And then she says, and you're going to want to write this down, growth only comes through pain and struggle. And that is the major talking point of a race. I'm not going to say what race.
Mm-hmm.
I think we can all guess. But they literally say that word for word, which kind of leads you to believe that they have a larger hand
in what's happening
on Earth than we have currently been privy to.
Yeah.
And we're not even going to realize the significance of this line for a long time. But just write that down. Write that down. So perhaps we should allow Babylon 5 time to realize, or one day even exceed the dreams we have invested in it. We'll be back with concluding thoughts after this message. And then we would have gone to break again, which is just, I wish we should just make it. Like, get some 90s commercials and throw them in there. After the crisis was over, the debris cleared and the bodies counted, we asked each of the people involved in this story one question. Given the danger at the end of the day, is it worth it? That's what they ask everybody.
Garibaldi.
And he's like, hell yeah, absolutely. Sure, things get tense out there and you have to be careful. As our search of the Centauri vessel proved, they were actually bringing in weapons, offloading them outside the station and sending them to the front lines. And now that we know that, we can make sure it doesn't happen anymore. We learn it's what humans do, is what he says. And then he goes, misunderstandings aside. Then Londo says, misunderstandings aside? Yeah. Misunderstandings, says the man who called a battle cruiser to come threaten Babylon 5. I definitely think it's worth it. We must simply work harder to make sure we communicate with one another to prevent this sort of tragic situation. And by that, I mean they need to start accepting bribes.
Right.
And then we go to...
Well, Londo says one more thing. A violent attack by the Narns is unacceptable, an unacceptable response to a peaceful protest by my government. The peaceful protest where we showed up and said, nobody goes in or out or we'll shoot everything.
Yeah, but they didn't totally actually shoot protest. Anyone, which makes it peaceful.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then we switch to Jakar.
And he's like, and with the... he continues, with the intervention of Earth, perhaps we can keep them from making a similar mistake in the future.
Yeah. Jakar only gets a couple lines.
Well, Londo keeps highlighting, like, if humanity was on our side, because we're friends and all,
we make a great team.
If we got together on this, we could handle it. Like, I think we could make a good team, an effective team. And Jakar literally says, and it's fucking heartbreaking, I don't know anymore. I used to think so, but...
Now, ... And then Ivanova says yes.
Yes.
Delenn said, of course it is. And then Delenn gets a whole monologue. And I thought this was representative of everybody's personalities.
Yes, how long everybody talks.
Yeah.
I do like what she says.
Yeah.
You know, humans share one unique quality, and that is that they build communities.
Of course it is. For the simple reason that no one else would ever build a place like this. Humans share one unique quality. They build communities. If the Narns or the Centauri or any other race built a station like this, it would be used only by their own people. But everywhere humans go, they create communities out of diverse and sometimes hostile populations. It is a great gift and a terrible responsibility.
And I think that is essentially true. One of the things that humans are designed to be is a communal species. We're not supposed to be alone.
Yeah, it's baked into our biology.
Yeah, we need community. We require community. That's why we seek it out, except we've been tricked into seeking it somewhere where our community is controlled and monetized.
Right.
And because of that, we have lost the knack of remaining in community.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying that we should all just get along. It's not the lesson to take from this. But community is inconvenient. It requires that you do things for people as part of being a member of a community. It requires sacrifice. It requires listening and understanding and sometimes moderating and sometimes pissing each other off and then coming back and having a conversation about what happened. Community is struggle, but it's struggle towards the common goal, which is being together. And I think one of the things I like about where we've moved to now is that it is we live in a very harsh climate. And we literally live in the Great Frozen North.
Right.
We're so far north, Canada is below us. We're fucking far up, okay? And one of the things around here is that we are so isolated, we are so far out that everybody is in this together.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's a very pervasive feeling of, if you live here full time, I got your back.
Yep.
And you got mine. Someday you'll do something for me, so today I'll do something for you. And I don't do it with the expectation of being repaid, but I know I will be. I saw a thing on Threads, and maybe we had this conversation about this lady that had bought groceries for someone.
Mm-hmm.
And she went shopping at her grocery store, bought her groceries and this lady's groceries.
Oh, yeah. She said, hey, I know SNAP benefits are getting cut
Yeah.
or might not go out.
Send me a list.
Give me your grocery list.
Yeah.
I'll buy your groceries.
And so the lady was like, ew, gross. You didn't shop at the fancier grocery store. I don't like food from this store. And it was the comments were all like, no one owes you gratitude. She didn't owe you gratitude. You shouldn't have done it expecting to be thanked. Back the fuck up.
But she didn't deserve negative criticism either.
Back the fuck up. If I went to the cheap grocery store on purpose and bought you shit on purpose, expired meat or whatever, that's a different story. If I go shopping for my family and I buy you the same food that I buy for my family, then yes, I expect a thank you. I don't need you to grovel.
Even if not thank you, at least acknowledgement.
Yeah.
But not,
I gave my
don't
time.
Don't insult me by criticizing.
I gave my time and I gave my money for that.
Yeah.
And I'm not expecting you to bend over backwards and tell me I'm the best person in the world, but just go, hey, thanks. I appreciate your time. I appreciate you doing that.
Yeah.
Thanks. That's bare minimum. That's bare minimum. And if I had clearly, deliberately insulted you by buying you something gross, no, you don't owe me thanks. It's not that. It's that I put in a good faith effort. That's part of community. Okay. Right. And so when I watched all that, I was like, what on earth? I did see another good thing that was talking about how after the 90s, we stopped parenting other people's children. Have you heard about this? So when we were kids, it was very common for if I was at a friend's house and I did something that they don't do, that was whatever, or broke a reasonable rule.
Yeah.
They would say something about it and probably call my mom and tell me that they'd said something about it.
Yeah.
We don't do that anymore because you're so terrified of offending other people, of offending other parents, that you don't parent other people's parents, other people's kids.
Yeah.
And so, like, Gen Z in particular has no expectation that outside of their home, they will receive any censure. That they feel full permission to do whatever they want to, as long as it's not violating any rule that their parents would punish them for.
Yeah.
So there's no consideration of, there's no reading the room.
Yeah, because you're never going to get pushback.
Because you're never going to get pushback. So who gives a shit? I get to do whatever I want.
Yeah.
And that's another thing that undermines community because, anyway, I could go on and on forever about it. But community is a skill and we've lost it, is what I'm saying.
It's being undermined.
It's being undermined
by
deliberately.
The technocracy.
Deliberately, because when it's not just enough that we're desperate. They want us desperate and alone, because then we'll seek community wherever we can find it. Because it's a need. It's like a desperation. Mm-hmm. And then they also make you ill-equipped to be in a community so that you feel like everyone is against you. It's the same reason you send out, okay, so you thought that religious people go door to door because they're actually trying to convert people. That's not what that's about.
No, they're training the members to be ostracized by the outside world.
Right.
Which only tightens their attachment to the cult.
Right. The point is you making fun of them. The point is you saying no. Because that validates the church leadership when they say everyone is against you. You are the only one who can see the truth.
And you have experienced it firsthand.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a way of solidifying their connection. It has nothing to do with getting anybody to listen to them.
Well, maybe a tiny bit.
I mean, if you did, great. It's the kind of person that's going to be swayed by a door-to-door missionary situation is exactly the kind of person they want. And then the people that aren't fulfill the role of the world is evil, the world is against you. Only I am your friend. Only I matter. Only I love you.
Mm-hmm.
And Delenn continues with, like, if the Narn and the Centauri build a station like this, it would be only for them. But everywhere humans go, they create communities out of diverse and sometimes hostile populations. And it is a great gift, but also a terrible responsibility. And I liked that whole section.
Yeah.
Because even though it feels a little bit dystopian, it also felt a little hopeful.
Yeah.
Like, it's an essential part of humanity to seek out this struggle, the struggle of community.
Then the senator says, was it worth it? I guess we'll just have to see.
Isn't that Dr. Franklin?
Franklin's next.
Oh.
The senator gets the one line, and then Dr. Franklin is, all right, Med 2, go.
Yeah. So if we weren't here right now, half the people in this room would be dead. Now that should be good enough answer for everyone.
And then the dock workers, sure, I have a retirement pension to make, you know?
I know. Then Sheridan's like, yeah, but probably not for all the reasons you've been told. The job of Babylon 5 is not to enforce the peace. It's to create the peace, which I really like that distinction.
Yes.
This place was built on the assumption that we could work out our problems and build a better future. And that, to me, is the key issue.
And then he gets his whole monologue.
I liked his, when you stumble a lot, you start to look at your feet.
Mm-hmm.
And now we have to make people lift their eyes back up.
Or you just start resenting everybody and get angry when you stumble a lot.
Well, I think that's part of looking at your feet. I think that's what he meant when he said looking at your feet.
And when you refuse to look at your feet, you get resentful.
Oh, okay. You're just like, why are people throwing this shit in front of me?
Looking at your feet means correcting your course.
It's the meme where the guy's riding a bike and he sticks a stick in his own spoke and he's like, the Minbari did this.
Yeah. Or you could say, oh, I really shouldn't have stuck that stick in there. Ow.
Yeah. Well, what he's saying is the more you struggle, the more you start to look micro. You start to turn inward. Mm-hmm. Because everything outside...
Oh, you think that's what he's saying?
I think that's what he's saying. You start to look at your feet. You lose sight.
Yeah, you narrow your attention.
You narrow your focus. And he said, now we have to make people lift their eyes back up to the horizon and see the line of ancestors behind us saying, make my life have meaning. And to our inheritors before us saying, create the world we will live in.
Come on, JMS.
For a guy who got a voluntary vasectomy when he was like 19, he plays a lot of this is for the children cards. Mm-hmm. This is one. And then there's that line that Delenn had way back where she was like, we have to believe that we're always getting better or evolution is a lie and there is no fucking point.
Yeah.
He goes, we're not just holding jobs and having dinner. We are in the process of building the future. That's what Babylon 5 is all about. And we need to make people understand that so that we can create a better world for ourselves and for our posterity. And then she's just like, well.
And then she signs off.
Out.
And that's an interesting way for them to end this very biased. This biased.
You'd think she'd have had a wrap up that was like, is it worth it though? Is it? Don't you think it's important to look at your feet so you don't stumble?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you look down so you can see what's coming. I don't know. You'd think they would have ended something more like that, but instead it's like, well, he said everything that needed to be said.
She doesn't undermine what he said.
No.
Which either means they kind of wanted a positive note in this report.
Or have him seen as hopelessly idealistic.
Yeah, or make him seem deluded.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it could go either way.
Yeah.
Well, we have put Cookie to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like this episode was a difficult one to chat about because it is so exposition heavy on itself. It is a commentary on itself. So you are commentating on a commentary, which is always a challenge. But I really like this episode. I think this is a thing that was done in other genres, but I'm not sure that other sci-fi shows had done this. And I think it was a very good step back moment because you can get very in the heads of all the characters. So for JMS to write this was probably a very good thought experiment for him.
Yeah, and to give the viewers perspective about, like, you're in this, like, second person, basically.
Yeah.
But what is it actually like?
Right. You see their motivations.
What is the perception like on Earth?
Right. We're seeing their motivations. We're seeing them at the end of the day taking their jacket off and talking about how much this is,
extremely
how hard this
humanized
is.
From the normal perspective.
Right. So what is everyone seeing? What is Earth seeing when they look at Babylon 5? Which was a good moment of perspective because shit's about to hit the fan.
Right. And it really justifies all of the negative pressure from the senators and stuff.
Yeah, because if this is all they're seeing, it looks like a shit show.
Then the senators are pressuring Babylon 5 based on the concerns of their constituents.
Yeah.
Because their constituents are being fed a narrative, a very biased narrative from the media.
Yeah. I think that's probably a good place to leave it.
Yeah.
Oh, this was probably a good moment of rest because I'm pretty sure coming up, it's about to be on. It's about to be fucking on. So we live for the one.
We would die for the one.
Until next time, friends.
Bye.
So remember, if you know someone who might be a telepath or think you might be one yourself, help them get the help they need. Call the Corps.
Call government information for more on a Psi-Corps center near you. This message has been brought to you by the Ministry for Public Information and your local Psi-Corps recruitment office.